It all starts with a bell. And that bell means it's business time. The bell rings in London, Lagos, Cairo, and Joburg, kicking off a new day of opportunities. New idea being born and bought, deals being done, big global players winning big or losing it all. IPOs, mergers, takeovers, stocks, bonds, and commodities. In the business world, the winner takes the spoils. In the business day, every moment matters. Trust us to be your guide to the highs and lows of the global marketplace. We will round up the business day, what's up, what's down, the bears and the bulls, and what to watch out for. This is Arise Exchange.
Every moment matters. Every decision, every moment of courage, every act of kindness, every declaration of war is made by someone, somewhere. Newsnight analyzes the decisions that affect all of our lives.
A very warm welcome to you. This is Newsnight. Every night, we bring you the moments that matter, from the top to the bottom, and in every corner of our country. We bring you a focused agenda from Nigeria, Africa, and beyond. Focus on what's important with Arise Newsnight.
Good morning out there. You're watching the morning show here on Arise News. I'm Ruben Abati.
I'm Ayon Mairo Ese.
And I'm Rufai Oseni. I keep talking about Dr. Abati's suit again this morning. We've got a great show lined up for you over the next 3 hours. So sit back, relax, and let's kickstart your day because the morning show begins right now.
The striking workers of the Nigerian Aviation Handling Company, NACO, have suspended the industrial action embarked upon earlier on Monday, yesterday, to demand the implementation of a new salary structure after a truce was reached. The workers suspended the strike after the intervention of the Directorate of State Services, DSS, Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAN, Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, the Nigerian Air Force, and Port Health Services. In a resolution document signed by the Secretary General of NUATE, Ucheme Abba, Asans Francis Akinjole, and Shola Obaboli of NACO agreed to withdraw the suit and vacate the earlier court order obtained against the workers. Joining us later on this show to discuss issues arising from the just suspended strike is Captain Ado Sanusi, Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of Aero Contractors.
Moving things along, we shall be engaging Prince Adewale Adebayo, presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party, SDP. We will be discussing his various foreign policies, especially being the first presidential candidate to make an appearance at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs to talk about foreign policy of the next government. Finally, on our guest list, we will be talking to Dabira Olua Adeyinka, an NSAS frontliner, former Lagos SDP chairman, now spokesperson, Jandor gubernatorial campaign. She will be telling us why she defected with her state executives from the Social Democratic Party to the People's Democratic Party.
Let's catch up on news making headlines across the globe. Michael Wilson will give us an update on global business outlook. Aaron Akirjala will be taking us through sporting activities across the globe. We'll also review today's newspaper with Arise News analyst Emmanuel Afeni. While Audrey will fill us in on what's trending around the world. It's going to be all that and a whole lot more today on The Morning Show. Welcome back to The Morning Show right here on the Rise News Channel. Glad to have you back. I should say it's now time to take a look at news stories making headlines around the globe. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari has inaugurated Lekki Deep Sea Port in Lagos State. The key infrastructure project promises to create jobs and vastly improve Nigeria's trade picture. The president was accompanied by Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Arise business correspondent Ruth Sudiri attended the event and sent in this report.
Once again,
as part of his busy two-day trip to Nigeria's commercial capital, President Buhari inaugurated the Lekki Deep Sea Port in Lagos State. He was accompanied by the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu.
This magnificent infrastructure has been a combination of very many years of tireless work by a team that have agreed to work together. The team is led by NEPSA first approving that this place should be designated as a free trade zone by your regulator, NEPSA. Also by MPA, who also approved the concept of this project. Then by the team of financiers led by the Tolerant Group, is a Nigerian-Singaporean consortium. And like we've mentioned to you, they've been in the country for several decades. With working with them are the China Rabo from China, who are the leading financial partner onto this project. And of course, Lagos State Government, who sits as also the chair of this project. The operator for this project is one of the biggest in the world, CMA from France. And so, Mr. President, you can see that it's been a total combination of federal government, Lagos State, and the private sector.
The Lekki Deep Sea Port is a state-of-the-art facility that is the largest seaport in Nigeria and one of the biggest in West Africa that is set to revolutionize the way goods are transported and traded in Africa's largest economy. The ceremony for the inauguration featured an array of dignitaries that addressed the game-changing infrastructure.
The Lekki Port team, together with Lekki Freeport Terminal, a subsidiary of CMA CGM Group, are now working tirelessly to ensure that the port operation commences in the next few months, hopefully before the end of the first quarter this year.
It means that to be able to bring in bigger vessels, more cargo, and therefore the economies of scale will set in, and we believe the cost of doing business in this port will actually be lower than at other ports.
The ministry, we are the landlord of the free zone, so to say, and we are there to iron out issues. I can remember all the issues that arose concerning the community members and their movement to their resettlements. But we thank God today that most of it has been solved. Most of it. We are still solving some, but most of them have been solved.
Arise News spoke to the MD and CEO of the Lekki port, Du Rogan, who spoke about the significance of the port and what it means for Nigeria-China relations.
Cargo evacuation system will be rebalanced after the taking off of Lekki port. So the living conditions of the citizens of Lagos will probably be improved. Yeah, be improved. But think about it. For Nigeria, for the past decades of years, there's only 1.5 to 2 million TEU, capacity. So with the extra capacity offered by Lekki Port, the overall capacity of the container stevedoring services will be increased to, I think, around 3 million TEU per year. And maybe after phase 2, the whole throughput capacity will be increased to around 5 million. With the operation of Lekki Port, it's just like a key. We open the new doors and new routes of such kind of import and export between Nigeria and China. And plus, not only for China, but also for Asian, South Asian, even for US, South America, Europe, etc.
Now you have a port that is fully automated. You have a port that it will be much more efficient than the existing ports, you understand. What this also means is we have a port that can compete favorably with other ports in West Africa. And we believe with the commissioning of this port and once the commercial activity kicks off, we are likely to see reduction in congestion and traffic around the Tinkan and Apapa corridors. And so that is really significant for us. This seaport has been, under construction, let me say, probably for 11 years or so. But the actual construction actually began about 3 or so years ago. And with the approval by the President and the support of the Federal Ministry of Transportation, we were able to achieve this in 3 years. So it has been under, in consideration and plan probably for 11 years.
International trade, job creation, and bilateral relations with China, the second largest economy in the world. There is a whole lot riding on this very important port, not only to Lagos, but also to Nigeria. Rhoda Sodiri, Arise News.
All right, Ayo, a lot to say about this project.
Well, I will start by saying congratulations to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, particularly the Center of Excellence, Lagos State. A proud moment for the Governor of Lagos State, His Excellency, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and of course, the President, who thought it important enough to come and commission these projects himself. Yesterday in Lagos State. Lekki Deep Seaport, Reuters has done such a great job in terms of reporting, and there are not many negative things to say about this, to be fair, and I'm not looking for negative things, but just to mention a few things in terms of the investment is in excess of $1.5 billion. His Excellency, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has already highlighted the partnerships across different countries and different organizations. It's a public-private partnership in terms of the funding of this project. It's meant to be at least the biggest and hopefully should potentially be the busiest port in Lagos. We have the Apapa port, we have the Tinkan port, and now we have the Lekki Deep Sea port. In terms of the benefit of this seaport, of course, it's been highlighted in many ways as to how beneficial this project is going to be and how much it would contribute to the GDP of the nation. The port is expected to generate $201 billion revenue annually from Lagos and federal government in taxes, royalties, duties, and also business revenue impact of $158 billion across the value chain. In terms of job creation, it's estimated to provide in excess of 300,000 jobs directly and indirectly, and also impact that area, the Lekki Free Trade Zone and its areas in terms of infrastructure. So already Lagos Seaport has said they would invest $800 million in building real infrastructure. We know that real estate in that area in the last few years has appreciated with more people moving and, investing in that area with the potential that following the full operation of the port, we will see more activity in that, or we'll see more activities in that area. We also know that in terms of the refineries there are many things happening, Lekki Free Trade Zone. However, we must learn lessons from our existing ports in Lagos State. The challenge or the beauty of things like this is that there's a desire to celebrate and, bump fists and say, well done, which of course is due. However, we have a problem with the culture of maintenance in this nation, and that's something I must speak about, because if we're looking forward, we must be able to learn lessons from the past. We have the second busiest port, let me use that as an example, Tinkan Port. And there have been challenges that have been identified. I'm hoping the Lagos State government will learn or pick lessons from there and utilize in terms of the Lekki deep sea port. One of which, of course, has been complained is the infrastructural development, roads, accessibility, the hellish traffic congestion in that area, multiple tolls by touts in that area, making it difficult for business owners and cargo operators to do business in that axis. Same with Apapa ports. Now we've built a new port. I'm hoping that we wouldn't see a reenactment of these challenges at the Lagos Deep Sea Port. I'm saying this because it is important when we build such great infrastructure with the potential to impact in the economy so greatly to ensure that the impact is total. We're not having this, and then in a few years down the line, we're wondering what has gone wrong. We haven't had, the things promised. The rail line hasn't been completed. We have, issues around movement in that area. Whilst business has improved and in terms of jobs have increased in that area, we still have challenges there. These are some of the lessons we can learn. But overall, congratulations to the Lagos State government and, of course, to the federal government. And I must mention that the Motor Rice Mill was also launched yesterday. The president was there to ceremoniously cut the tape, didn't say anything, but at least he was there to inaugurate what is the biggest rice mill in Lagos and indeed in many parts of Nigeria and sub-Saharan Africa. So great on all fronts, and congratulations.
Dr. Bati?
Okay, the Lekki deep sea port, I think, is important because this is Nigeria's first deep sea port. Why is it so? One of the problems that we have faced in Nigeria is that the draft of our existing ports is just too low.
Yes.
Now we're told that this new deep sea port, can handle up to 16 meters, which is a lot.
16.5 meter draft.
16.5, okay. Yeah. 16.5 meters draft. So that's an advantage. It means that the Lekki deep sea port can become a hub, and it's projected to be a hub within the West African sub-region. So it's not just for Nigeria, it's also for the entire West Africa, given the capacity in terms of the design of that deep sea port. Secondly, this is the second time that you have, a seaport being inaugurated in Lagos. The last time a seaport was inaugurated was in the late 1970s, the Tinkan port, which was supposed to complement the Apapa port. So in terms of, maritime activities, international trade, I think this Lekki deep sea port is an important development. The governor of Lagos State has pointed out that it will create jobs where that is to be expected. Over 170,000 were told, direct and indirect jobs. Of course, people will work there. It's not ghosts that will work there, even if this is the age of artificial intelligence. But it will create, commercial activities. It will create a whole ecosystem in that free zone. The governor of Lagos State also pointed out that this is as a result of the collaboration between the Lagos State government, the federal government of Nigeria, and also private investors. And, one of the private investors that spoke, in fact, pointed out that this is a multinational operation among China, Nigeria, Singapore, China, Nigeria, Singapore, and that it will be managed by a French company. Now, okay, that is probably something we need to look into. All these foreigners We are looking for foreign direct investment, but they come to Nigeria, they are managing strategic assets in Nigeria. What are the terms involved? But in terms of effort, I think it's a very good development for the economy of Lagos State, for Nigeria's strategic importance within the maritime arena in the whole of West Africa. And we're told that, this is not just infrastructure. This is infrastructure that is transformative. And the president went on a tour of the facilities. What I don't understand is the fact that one of the newspapers is reporting this morning that the president just waved at the crowd. Then he arrived around 4 p.m. So if the project is so important, so the president did not have just 1 or 2 words to say to the people of Nigeria, to the people of West Africa, to the various investors that were involved in it. I thought that was curious. And we were told also that the president went to commission a lubricant plant belonging to one company yesterday. And when he got to the lubricant plant too, he did not say anything. No, I find that a bit strange. Today, we're told that the president, spending 2 days in Lagos State, is going to commission the Blue Rail line. So we hope that after that commissioning, and at that commissioning, maybe the handlers of the president will finally come up with a speech for him to address not just the people of Lagos State, but also, all the stakeholders whose interests are involved in these major projects. However, it is important to point out that, look, the president being in Lagos is a morale booster for the governor of Lagos State who is seeking a second term. And maybe that's why the president is very cautious so that he's not accused of making political statements or endorsing anybody. But whatever it is, he's president of Nigeria. He's president of everybody. He cannot come to Lagos, Lekki Deep Seaport, lubricant plant, Blue Rail line, and he will be taciturn. I'm assuming that maybe it's that newspaper that missed the point. The second point to state here is that as I was coming to the office this morning, some people were saying it looks like the president is staying at a hotel in Lagos. And I was wondering, how can the president of Nigeria be staying in a hotel in Lagos? We used to have a place in Lagos here belonging to the federal government, State House. We have another place around Ikoyi axis here, where, at the axis of the State House of Nigeria. I know that one of the premises was given to the Lagos State government. I think that that's an error. The president of Nigeria should be able to move around Nigeria, and Lagos, that used to be the original capital of Lagos State, and have a place to stay there. The facilities in that original space that is there in Lagos, they are adequate. There was conference room, there was everything there. To say that the president of Nigeria is visiting Lagos and is staying in a hotel, I don't know what that hotel is, but I think there's something odd about that. And the next president of Nigeria, if he happens to understand the issues, must immediately correct that. There are other projects that the president of Nigeria would commission today, including, I'm told, the J.K. Randu Center, including, I'm told, other projects. Yes, it will make Sanwo-Olu look good when Sanwo-Olu suddenly remembers that he too is running for an election and it cannot be a back career for another campaign.
Okay, so a lot to say about the Lekki Seaport, and I hope I'm giving time to talk, really. This is a good development. When we see something good, let's call it the way it is. Okay, I think I don't have time to speak on this. Maybe I'll just move on since I'm told I have a minute, and the minute wouldn't do justice to it. I will take a short break, and when we return, we shall be talking to Captain Abdul Sanusi, Managing Director, CEO, Aero Contractors. Stay with us.
I've been running my business on my own, trying my best to get it to the next level, but I really need some help to get ahead. I know just what to do, I'll vote it for my loans, overdraft, step by step to my dream business, we vote. Salary earners, entrepreneurs, get your loans with no collateral. Quick sign up, zero paperwork, step by step to your dream business, we vote.
Vault is available to individuals, SMEs, and corporate customers. Download Vault by Polaris Bank from the Google Play Store or Apple App Store to get started today.
Yesterday I got a call from Globe. I won a 3-bedroom bungalow.
Yes, guys! Guess what? I won a car.
I won a generator by participating in the Festival of Joy promo by Glow.
Hey, Glow don't do this one for me. Glow to make instead to me with sewing machine.
I won generator last year. This year I won for
It's a celebration like no other with prizes like no other. 20 new houses to be won. 24 brand new cars. 200 sewing machines, 100 generators, 1,000 rechargeable fans. Glow Festival of Joy promo. Dial *611# now.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Normalcy has now returned to airports across the nation after airline passengers were stranded on Monday morning as the Nigeria Aviation Handling Company, NACO, called a strike action over unpaid salary arrears, among other grievances. Arise correspondent Amaka Ude Walker tells us more. Here is our report.
Intending air travelers were greeted with cancellations when they arrived at major airports across the country. Domestic and international airlines that use the services of the Nigerian Aviation Handling Company PLC, NACO, were forced to abruptly stop operation when the company's workers failed to turn up to provide services to the airlines. The airlines, which did not get prior notice, were told that the workers of the company embarked on strike action over issues relating to their wages.
None. There wasn't any prior information before today. We just woke up, I think that information, we got heads up on that around 3-4 a.m. thereabouts. And of course, at that moment, it was late to even pass information to the passengers. So we resumed here as early as 5:30. Passengers were already here waiting to be checked in.
The strike action has now been called off, with unions resolving to withdraw an earlier court order. They will now continue negotiations on Wednesday, which must be concluded within a week, amongst other resolutions reached by all parties. International flights that used the services of NACO that flew into Nigeria earlier on Monday morning departed empty, losing huge amounts of money in revenue and passengers unhappy and frustrated.
Actually, I really don't understand how Nigeria operates when it comes to international
Airlines. So we booked a flight for Abuja to Manchester. So and we're supposed to leave around 1 p.m. So we've been here since morning, and we're just standing in the sun there. No one talks to us. And for me now, I don't know anywhere. I don't know anyone here. I came from Lagos.
The flight has really spoiled my plan already, because I was supposed to be in the UK tomorrow. Right now, I can't say when I will be landing because I don't know the dates yet.
Nigeria's major carrier, Air Peace, says it lost about 500 million naira to flight cancellations, and that the few hours disruption has a ripple effect on operations.
That strike caused a whole lot of disruption because we cancelled about 8 flights. That's in Abuja alone, because most of the flights are in the morning, and then we rescheduled some to depart maybe around 1 thereabouts, but that information didn't come on time. And we had passengers with us, we had to give them updates, and then most of the sunset stations that we don't fly into in the evening, you won't leave passengers till evening, and then you start cancelling those flights. So we had to take a decision early enough, and then we canceled those flights. It's going to take like a few days for us to adjust, because imagine flights that were cancelled today, we have to look at, is it possible to accommodate them tomorrow? So it's going to have a ripple effect in subsequent flights, and some passengers too.
The Nigerian aviation sector, which was adjudged the fastest growing sector, adding a whopping $1.7 billion to the Nigerian economy prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, has been hit with a myriad of challenges in recent months. Experts say aviation has to be prioritized for it to witness an exponential growth in the economy. I'm Maka Udewalker, Arise News.
Joining us now from Murtala Mohammed Airport in Lagos is Captain Ado Sanusi, Managing Director, CEO, Aero Contractors. Good morning, Ado. Good to have you on the program.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, thank you for joining us very quickly. Now, we've seen that report by Amaka Udewalker of Arise News. But the question is this: who is going to pick up the cost of the damages that have been suffered by passengers who were stranded, who went through so much frustration and anger? Or the matter will just end like that and everyone will just move on?
Yeah, Doctor, you see, the problem that we have is this has also exposed a lot of shortcomings in our aviation sector, in our troubled aviation sector. I mean, the unions will claim that it's their right to strike. Unfortunately, the passengers and the airlines are the ones that suffer the most, not the handling company. In a normal society, I think due process will be followed before the strike action should take place. And I think the NCAA should investigate fully and find out exactly whether the unions followed the due process before they went on strike. And if they did, what did the handling company did? Did they inform the passengers through the airlines, so that everybody will understand that they don't have to go to the airport and the airlines might have to cancel flights, as is done everywhere in the world? Or they just sat and thought that they can negotiate themselves out of the crisis? Now, also, I see that this has been a latent problem, because the Nigerian Civil Aviation allowed a kind of alliance between the two handling companies in the beginning, where they agreed that this is the minimum price they would charge the airlines for handling an aircraft. Now that in itself created a cartel inside a deregulated market, which will give the unions, of course, the impetus to say, well, we have a kind of an agreement between the two companies, and we can definitely, when we strike, definitely the other company cannot afford to come in to save the situation. And I think also the National Assembly, which weighed into the problem in the beginning, should have also understood that when a critical service is being provided and there is near to monopoly, then this critical service should not go on strike. Because if you look at the international flights, some of them went back empty, some were diverted, some of them were delayed. And that puts Nigeria in a bad light internationally.
All right, thank you, Captain. Now, the agitations of NACO staff is around wages. And as you've mentioned, they're well within their rights to embark on a strike. However, operators have complained that they didn't get any notice at all before the workers embarked on this strike, thereby taking them by surprise. And like you've mentioned, the constituent effect of their actions. I'd like you to explain to our viewers what the agitations, where have you had an opportunity, have operators or the handlers had an opportunity to dialogue, and they've called off the strike now. What should we be expecting another strike in the near future?
Well, we have to address the problem. First, when you have a sector, you identify the critical points in that sector. Handling is very critical for a safe operation of an airplane or safe operation of airlines. I believe the workers are agitating for better pay, and also maybe their entitlements were not paid and there's a layoff or something like that. I'm not too sure because I'm not aware of what is happening there. But whenever you have a situation like this, there are actual places that you will not allow the strike to affect. They can picket the offices of NACO and don't allow the administrative staff to enter the offices, don't allow the MD to enter his office and the rest. But the moment you take the action to the airport is a national security thing for you to stop a flight or for you to stop a passenger who by no means was not involved in selecting a handling company. He's just a collateral damage. So why would they go to that level in actually depriving passengers in entering the airplane? I don't think there should be a flight disruption because NACO staff are aggrieved, or any other handling company for that matter. I think they should have taken it to NACO headquarters and solve it with NACO headquarters without disrupting the aviation, the livelihood of other people. And disrupting aviation services like airline flights and everything, I think should be taken seriously by the federal government. Anybody who interferes with a flight should be charged. Period.
Okay.
Because that results into economic losses.
Okay.
And also it's a security issue.
Okay, so two things. At first, we are here because we have a behemoth in the handling sector of aviation, which is NACO. It's a monopoly. It's so big. And that's why we're all grounded. I want to first have conversations with you about possibilities of breaking the monopoly, which I know it's an Herculean task, for the efficiency of the system. And secondly, will the airlines sue to be able to get their money back? Because Air says they lost 500 million. International airlines, I'm sure they lost hundreds of millions. Other airlines lost a lot of money. I don't know how much you lost as an airline. Somebody has to pay for that money. And I know you have to seek legal redress. When will the lawsuits start?
Well, unfortunately, I doubt much if the lawsuit will start. But anyway, of course, aero contractors lost a lot of money. We cancel most of our flights, morning flights. The monopoly is, actually there are two handling companies in the country. And they provide this handling. And so it's near monopoly, as you said. Now, the lawsuits will be probably to the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority first, and then you co-joined NACO and the rest to make sure that you get effective because there should be an investigation to find out whether due process was followed. And what are the rules of engagement when you are going to go on strike, especially when you provide critical services in that sector. Critical services are air traffic control, handling, fire service. These people should not go on strike to disrupt flight operations. They can go on strike, they have the right as Nigerians to go on strike, but they can go on strike to disrupt the administrative running of those agencies or those departments, not to disrupt the flow of traffic. They should not, because that is dabbling into national security. You can imagine if an airplane is coming in with 300-400 passengers to Nigeria, and he is told that the Nigerian airspace, or he cannot land because there is no handling company, he will have to divert. And that diversion going to another country with over 300 passengers, you can imagine the cost that will happen to that the airline. And of course, look at the local airlines. We cancel a lot of flights. Of course, we are struggling to survive. And then this comes in. This is also an economic impact on the country. And I think it should be investigated. We should find out who exactly is a culprit and bring him to book for that. And then we can now start talking about lawsuit. How about the passengers? The passengers lost so much. So many passengers. In your report, one of the passengers was going to Manchester and he was saying he doesn't even know what to do. The passengers are the ones that took the hit. And we're all doing this for safe, efficient, picking people from one point to another. And I don't think it is expedient for any critical part of the aviation industry, or any industry for that matter, to be allowed to go on strike to disrupt the flow of traffic in the country.
Okay, well, the point about due process, I think is worth taking. But what we must note is that NACO gave 5-day notice. They gave a 5-day notice to management that they were going to go on strike. Now they say they've commenced negotiations. So why did the authorities have to wait for the strike to take place? They went to court, yes, there was a court order, but that court order was not respected. And indeed, airlines, Qatar Airways, had to return a flight to Doha at the end of the day. What exactly is the problem? And what is the guarantee that these negotiations that they say will commence on January 25 will have any effect whatsoever? You are a major player at the airport. What exactly is the problem with regard to handling? There's no monopoly. There's SACOL. SACOL didn't go on strike. So NACO is a problem. And the bigger problem is with NOATE. How do you think that problem can be solved, even beyond salary?
Well, first of all, as I said, we have to break the monopoly. I mean, NACO can provide ad hoc services to all other, SACOL, can provide ad hoc services to other airlines in case NACO is entangled with these issues with ATSAN and NOATE. And if this negotiation fails, of course, we're going to go back to square one. The NCA also should license other players that are intending to come into the handling environment. And I believe until we go back and look at the latent problem in the aviation sector, we will still have this problem coming up after the 25th, because probably the negotiation will end up not yielding any fruits. So the issue is NOATE is asking for something and NACO is not yielding to that. I believe the regulator should come in and negotiate in between and make sure they come up with a truce. And also, if there was a 5-day notice, by law, is it 5-day notice that you give? And when you give 5-day notice, did you give 5-day notice to the company? And did the company give the no terms, what we call no terms notice to Air Mission, which in effect it translates or it actually transmits to all airlines all over the world that there is an intended strike. If the the most unstable airspace in Europe is France, is French airspace, because they always go on strike. But you always get notification minimum 72 hours. So you either avoid their airspace or you can cancel your flights. But they will not allow it, they will not just go on strike while you are in the air. I mean, this is aviation. So if this is not investigated and the culprit brought to book, then we are going to have the same problem after 25th of January.
So when you talk about the company being brought to book, what do you think what are some of the things that can be done in your estimation to ensure that they do not allow this? Number one, like you mentioned, they flouted a number of things, primarily, which is even though the workers are allowed within their rights to go on strike, they didn't inform the airline operators. They should have, so that at least they would have been able to perhaps suspend flights or rebook flights. And then the second aspect of what I'd like to ask you is that beyond this strike, the aviation sector in Nigeria has been, plagued with a number of disruptions, with passengers bearing the brunt in many areas. Just in May 2022, when they said the jet fuel was too expensive, flights were majorly disrupted. How can this space be better managed, regulated, or would you say it is already being done in that way so that Nigerians have a better experience with flying?
Well, first, your first question that what can be done? You see, if NACO is found guilty for not issuing a NOTAM or telling the authorities that there's an intended strike in 5 days, there are ways to sanction NACO by the regulations. There are ways you can fine them, you can make them pay for the losses. You can do a lot. You can even suspend their license. If it's the workers that took the actions, then of course you identify the people that took actions and hold them accountable. I mean, we are a land of law, so we shouldn't allow people to go unaccountable. Everybody should be accountable for his actions. So for those, I think that's why I am insisting an independent investigation should take place. I mean, flights were delayed, for goodness sake. Some were even cancelled, some were taken back. So we should investigate, and any strike action that disrupt flights should be investigated fully, and anybody that is found guilty should be held accountable. Now, aviation industry in Nigeria has been, of course, struggling. The high cost of fuel, the dollar to naira exchange rate, the availability of the exchange rate, because aviation is an international industry that requires a lot of foreign exchange. And we have been struggling. And as, of course, other Nigerians have been struggling to get petrol and everything, so we are. And of course, our prices have increased from 300, 250 naira per liter to 800, sometimes 890. It's high risk, low profit to absorb this huge increase of Jet A1. Government should assist and ensure that this critical part of the economy is not allowed to go down. It's not allowed to go into crisis. We are already facing the crisis mode, but they should come in. And I think that's why NNPC did some intervention fuel importation for the Jet A1 to allow the airlines find it a little bit cheaper at about 500 to 600 naira per liter. But again, this is very, very stopgap. I believe a holistic approach needs to be looked at this critical sector of the economy, aviation, and we should follow a roadmap that will take us to a better aviation industry.
Okay, so just for the record, I'd like to ask you this, because NACO released the statement. Isn't this insulting to you, the clients of NACO? And the statement was tagged, "Our clients showed great understanding," says NACO in all of this. And this is a company that is quoted on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. It's a publicly listed company. And all of this happened because they couldn't manage their affairs with the union. And despite your losses, all they could say is that we restored services, our clients showed great understanding, we'll walk through it. No level of scrutiny, no level of accountability. How did we become this way as a country? Isn't it time people stop peeing on our backs and telling us it's raining and insulting us as a people?
I totally agree with you, and that's why I keep saying it, that people should be held accountable. You cannot just allow things to happen and then you just walk away like nothing happens. We have a regulator in the industry. When you have this crisis, you should send, as I said, what we call NOTAM, Notice to Air Mission, which will tell you exactly what you should do or what you should expect. Now, for them to come and say we are sorry to the airlines that this happened is beyond our control and everything, but hey, you knew right from the beginning. You are having a conversation with the unions, with Nwati and Atson. You knew where, as a management, you knew where the conversation was going to end, and you know the critical services you provide to the airlines, and these airlines cannot operate without you providing them these services because it's safety critical. In fact, based on that, you went to the regulator and said that they should give you a minimum that you can charge the airlines. You increase your services from 20,000 naira overnight to 70,000 naira per aircraft. That is too much. But of course, the airlines took it. And I believe that was even wrong. That was the first step that was wrong because it's a deregulated market, and you went and you connived with everybody to make sure that they agreed to that. And then you now allow the airlines to start paying that amount, and then you have these issues, and you cannot even tell the airlines that, oh, there is an intended strike. And aviation, there is so many ways you can take this information across to the airlines. You can do it through the NCAA, you can do it through the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, for even the international airlines.
All right, thank you so much. Remind you, there was no apology in that communique that was issued by them. It was just a way thank you for expressing understanding. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll have Michael Wilson give us updates on global business. To stay with us.
As you adjust to the new realities for operating your business and engaging with your customers, let us help you transform your business into a digital powerhouse capable of adapting and taking advantage of today's opportunities. With our best-in-class array of digital solutions, you can conduct your business, receive payments from your customers, and perform transactions quickly, safely, and conveniently, because we've got you covered with the right people, technology, and service offerings. Contact us today and let us take your business to its zenith. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
I'm about to serve better breakfast.
If you're in Lagos, you need to see this.
I'm not just streaming content, I'm just escaping traffic.
Get more data to enjoy exclusive content. Dial *141# now. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. For Global Business Update, Michael Wilson joins us now from Cape Town, South Africa. Good morning, Michael.
Morning. Basically, most of the major markets in the China area, in the Asia Pacific area, are closed because of Lunar New Year celebrations. However, Australia still open, up about 0.1%, and the Nikkei up almost 2%, but basically not an enormous amount of movement there, and nothing really from Wall Street to actually move on either, being fairly flat, which I'll come on to. As far as China itself is concerned, property bonds are actually making the property market relatively profitable at the moment, and investors who have been looking at that kind of market and then turned away when the difficulties seem to be supreme in the property market are now going back. However, US fund managers, here's the next big story really, are now turning away from China, and what they're doing is they're concentrating on the EU area, on the Eurozone, because they think that the Eurozone's move to greener and sustainable industries may be a firm pointer to where they ought to be investing. And also, of course, people put off from China because of COVID, because of the relationship between Beijing and the United States and the United States Treasury, and also increasing regulation as well. So big question marks over China, forcing or rather attracting fund managers away into the Eurozone. As far as the United States is concerned, stock futures relatively flat. They didn't have an enormous amount to think about yesterday. They do today, though, because they've got Johnson & Johnson, Verizon and Microsoft and General Electric, to mention but four of the major companies reporting. So we're well into another reporting season there. I'm going to talk and focus on big tech job cuts, which the list seems to increase every day. But Google has announced, has been defending the 12,000 that they're going to make. They had a sort of town hall meeting, as they call it, between them and their employees and so on, some of whom did not really get proper answers to their questions, which were, why is it us? What sort of criteria have you used to decide whom you're going to sack effectively? Spotify is joining that as well. Similar kind of percentage to Google, 6% of the workforce. Not as many, only 600, but still it's 600 jobs in the US. There's a company which is actually based in Sweden, but it's registered on the New York Stock Exchange. And I just continue to say this, that Apple is one of the companies that is not so far announcing any job cuts. And I think that's probably, as I was saying yesterday, because they didn't expand as rapidly as the others. And they've had a relatively smooth trajectory to where they are right now. Microsoft is increasing its investment in OpenAI. This is significant because this is where Microsoft thinks its growth is going to come from in the cloud. They call it, their system is called Azure. And they think that this will be the next major movement in computing, i.e. artificial intelligence, AI, robots doing your job, possibly. Apple is to make 25% of its iPhones in India. That was announced by Piyush Goyal, who is the Commerce and Industry Secretary of that particular country. They do make iPhone, or rather assemble iPhones in that country, but this is a big move for Apple, and really Apple moving to diversify away from the supply chain problems which have become evident from the COVID lockdowns in China and so on. I'm going to take you to I'm going to take you to Amazon. Now, what they're doing, this also concerns India. Whilst they lay off staff, they're also increasing their air cargo business to India as well. And whilst the company itself is laying off, I think it was 18,000 people. And also, don't forget that the first unionization of that particular company took place not that long ago in New York State, and that will still have to be something that's still being sought in the combated in the courts by Amazon, and they will have to deal with that before they lay off these various people, and therefore justify also why they're increasing their services to India. The EU now, this is from the German trades union IG Metall. We take notice of what IG Metall says because it's an important barometer of business confidence in Germany. And what they're saying at the moment is that they're reporting that Ford is going to slash a lot of European jobs and move its electric vehicle production and research to the United States. The unions are talking about 3,200 jobs. That is unconfirmed at the moment, but if it did, it would also affect Belgium and the UK. Speaking of the UK, the Prime Minister has ordered an ethics inquiry into the tax affairs of the former Chancellor, and he is now chairman of the Tory party, Nadhim Zahawi. He's saying that he had to pay HMRC, which is the income tax authorities, the tax authorities in the UK, after he had accidentally, he says, and he said he was rather careless in his tax affairs. You would have to be extremely careless not to know where several £1 million are going. That's my view on it. But, I mean, again, a legal investigation is something which Rishi Sunak wants to take place because, he can't misstep on something as vital as this. And two other things: oil relatively steady. There's a certain amount of, as the markets are putting it, exhaustion about the China reopening stories which are coming out of China, and until China crude demand actually bounces back, there will still be a demand for crude, but it won't actually reach the highs, which it may well do later on as that kind of demand rises. And just finally, I just wanted to tell you about Bitcoin. It's gathering steam again. It topped $23,000 yesterday because it's betting that the Fed will pivot. Now, this is quite a bet, isn't it? The Fed will pivot on raising interest rates. In other words, it will start to lower them fairly soon. That's quite a bet, I would say.
All right, real quick, I'm coming to Nadhim Zahawi. I think, like Piers Morgan would always say about Prince Harry's book, Spare Me, Nadhim Zahawi should spare us. He sold YouGov, which he was co-founder for a couple of years ago, for $100 million. And he wanted to say he doesn't know that you have to pay capital gains tax. Is that it now? When will this Tory lies stop? It stinks already. All of them reek of something extremely very gory and unthinkable that can only be thought about in phantasmagorical thoughts. I don't know your views on this, but this is just a lie.
My views are that it's like, I can remember interviewing somebody about Eurotunnel when Eurotunnel was being built and it was in debt. And I thought that redefined debt, the amount there were, and I think this redefines careless. Or are you careless about a few £1 million that you owe to the tax authorities? What part of careless is that? Wouldn't you know that? I'm with you on that. Yeah, of course.
All right, just very quickly, two things. Still on Nadhim. Now, the Tory Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, has said that he wouldn't resign or step aside whilst investigations are going on. What one would have assumed would be that as history would tell, for UK government officials or UK past government officials, they would usually step aside when such an investigation is going on. Why do you think this is Rishi Sunak's stance? And then the second part, very quickly, is on Apple and India. What's the cost implication for Apple products, especially iPhones, based on the fact that they manufacture in China, bearing in mind the cost effectiveness of that?
Well, Apple, let's deal with Apple first of all. Apple is one of those companies, I was discussing this with a fund manager yesterday, and Apple can sort of say you will pay X, Y, and Z, but you can pay so much for the product, and people tend to buy it. I mean, that's an extraordinary position to be in. Of course, that won't last forever, yeah. But they have never, as far as I'm concerned, they've always gone on the strength of their products rather than price competitiveness. So I don't know how that mix will actually apply. I would imagine this is very much in the front of Apple's brains as they decide to increase the production of the iPhone 14, which is their leading model, as I understand it. in India. As far as resigning is concerned, I honestly think that you don't, I mean, again, I'm not a politician, what do I know? If it were me, I wouldn't resign. I'd say, okay, let's find out, let's have an independent look at what this guy is supposed to have done, what he's supposed to have been slightly careless about, and then we will make big decisions about where we go. I think if you resigned at every setback, then you wouldn't be a prime minister for very long. Those are my personal thoughts about it. Again, I'm not a political expert and I'm not a prime minister either. I'm just a humble observer, but that's what I'd be thinking right now.
Okay, I think on the issue of the Tory party chairman, it's not just the Tory party chairman that is in the eye of the storm. It's the entire party. It's all about ethics. The Tories don't get it, do they? Even the Prime Minister himself, he has questions to answer about the appointment of Richard Sharp as BBC chairman. But do I think that this will end well for the Tory party chairman? Maybe not. But even the Prime Minister himself has questions to answer with regard to the BBC chairmanship appointment. But I wanted to ask you about the yellow metal, which seems to be doing well right now because of the softening of the dollar. But the part of it that I need, I want you to help us clarify is this story today that, investors are waiting for U.S. economic data. What does U.S. economic data that we are expecting by Thursday got to do with the price of yellow metal? That is gold.
Sorry, are you asking me about cryptocurrencies, or are you asking me about?
No, I'm asking about gold. Gold.
Oh, okay. I mean, all I can say is that there's been a general push, hasn't there? I was reporting, a couple of weeks ago about the push to $3,000 an ounce. I mean, it may well, it may not. I think that if the dollar weakens, then people tend to buy gold if they're worried about general security. If they're not worried about it, then they don't buy gold, and they look forward to an increasing dollar, a dollar increasing and decreasing rather, and then assume that means that the Fed will be driven to lower interest rates and et cetera, and then equities start to get better. I mean, I really wouldn't want to press it right now. I think gold used to be quite a useful kind of indicator. I'd far rather look at things like copper and silver right now, because I think they have a direct use within the industrial advance of countries. I appreciate that I'm not answering your question directly. I just don't think it's a very, very strong indicator right now. I report it because it happens to be something of which there is a gold fix every day, as you know, and people tend to regard it with a degree of reverence. I honestly don't think it's worth it. I think it's very impractical, and I don't think it tells us a great deal, simply for all the reasons I've just said.
Well, so cryptocurrency, up today, down tomorrow, the volatility continues. Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you. We'll take a short break now. And when we return, we'll be talking to Adewale Adebayo, presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
My brother, my sister, do you know that winning an election is not only about getting the majority vote? For that your candidate to be declared winner of the election, he or she must secure 25% of the vote in 2/3 of all states plus the FCT to be president, and 25% of the vote in 2/3 of all local governments of a state to be governor. This is constitutional, and every presidential candidate has had to pass this threshold. Even governors have had to make this mark to get elected in their states. We live in one country with different languages, religions, and ethnic groups. This is why it is not enough to have only northern votes, or southern votes, or eastern votes, or western votes. The only way to get elected as president or governor is by gaining enough support across the country and states. Let us make sure that we know now, so that we don't cause an issue tomorrow. This message is brought to you by the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO.
Haruna, Bisi, Akman, Unduka, how will I want to do on election day? On election day, I go take my PVC. When I reach where I vote, na broom I go put my hand for Tinubu. On election day, I go take my PVC. When I reach where I vote, na broom I go put my hand for Tinubu.
People of Nigeria, make we all come out on election day and vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as president. Make Nigeria for better. Make you put your hand for APC, the party where show broom. Not forget, now broom you go put your hand in. Bam!
On election day, I go take my PVC. When I reach where I vote, na broom I go put my hand for Tinubu.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. As the 2023 general elections draws near, candidates are occupied with campaign activities across the country. Speaking in Lagos yesterday at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, platform for 2023 presidential candidates with the theme The World of Nigeria and Nigeria in the World. Foreign policy as an adjunct of domestic priorities. Presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party, Adewale Adebayo, said economic diplomacy will be the guiding framework of his foreign policy if elected president on February 25. Adebayo explained that the concept would entail promotion of domestic enterprise and attraction of long-term real sector foreign investment in the Nigerian economy. He also pointed out that economic diplomacy is intended to support the nation's domestic priority of ending poverty, tackling insecurity by stimulating job-creating growth and enabling local production of arms and ammunition to fight insurgency. Joining us on the show this morning is Adewale Adebayo, presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party, SDP. Good morning and welcome to the morning show.
Good morning. Thanks for the invitation. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I just saw your video there, speaking at the ultra-modern conference room of the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs. But we understand your mates are going to London, to Chatham House. But you are going to NIA here in Nigeria. When are you going to Chatham House? Just address that and then tell us about your concept of economic diplomacy. What exactly do you mean by economic diplomacy, which was the major theme you addressed yesterday?
Okay, thank you. Chatham House is the British version of our own NIA. Actually, the name is Royal Institute of International Affairs. Ours is Nigerian Institute of International Affairs. And we've always known from time, even before independence, when Lawrence Fabumi and Djokovic and Kanadike and all of them came together and said they needed to give us our own institute. So the idea is that Nigerian president, Nigerian ruler, and anybody who wants to lead Nigeria, if they want to form their foreign policy framework, the best place to test it is our own NIA, where you have our own experts who understand our situation. Yeah, it's true that we can go to other international fora to make friends with them. But those are not the places where you form your policy, because some of your policies may not be in their best interest. It might just be in your own national best interest. So and I've communicated to our friends in Chatham House that I have nothing against them, but I'm auditioning to be Nigeria's president, not to be the UK Prime Minister.
So when I have spoken to the experts in my country and they understand me, then I will come to Chatham House. I can do that before the end of the campaign or after the campaign. There's always enough room to make friends. I was in Washington, D.C. In June, and I spoke to the Americans, but I spoke with respect to how Nigeria under me would be friendly with them. I didn't go there to talk about my domestic problem, issues confronting me, because I know the difference between doing something in Nigeria and doing overseas. Now, with respect to economic diplomacy, this is, we have gone through a bit of metamorphosis from non-aligned movement to this Gambari's 4 concentric circle. We must remember Nigeria and our neighbor, West Africa, as our second home, and then our third sphere of influence, the rest of Africa, and then we can deal with the rest of the world. But we have been thinking right from Ike Wachukwu's time, when we started feeling at home, that we might not have all the resources or Ladika 1 days where we could be Father Christmas of Africa and many parts of the world, that we might need to take our economic situation into consideration so that we go out and start doing diplomacy in a way that can enhance our economy. So I think that is the route that I would take as president, as the chief diplomat for Nigeria. I would want to pursue economic diplomacy so that we make friends. If you look at recent transactions that we've done with the international community, better diplomacy might have given us better chances, whether it's a debt payment that we deal with, whether it's investment, the amount of investment we get, a relationship that we get with partners. For example, the Americans, if you see how generously they've treated, say, Egypt, how generously they've treated Rwanda, not talk of Pakistan and other friends of theirs, we haven't got that kind of support. And so those are the things that I want to pay attention to, and to ensure that the key priorities of our problem now, as we have seen it in the SDP, is that we must kick poverty in the teeth, finally. And we must arrest the issue of insecurity. We must be in full control of our geographical space, inch by inch. And we must have a strong military. You know that the original doctrine of our military was that anything from entire West Africa, the lower tip of the Sahel, and Central Africa was seen as the territory, the theater for Nigeria. And we must gain control of that theater without much competition with our international friends, the French, the British, the Turkish, the Russians, and the Americans. They must allow us to play safe in this area. And those are the areas that I want our diplomacy to face now.
All right. So you talked about leveraging economic diplomacy as, if you were elected president. One of the things that, for instance, the DG of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, has said is that whilst there's a wide economic scope for opportunities in Africa, and Nigeria being included, one of the challenges is that we do not have enough international partners in terms of foreign investment, foreign partnerships. What are some of the things that you would practically do to attract these interests and to maintain them?
Okay, what I can say basically is this. This interest will come no matter what. When it comes to foreign investment, you can't force them to come. And when they're interested to come, you can't ask them to go out. If you have oil and somebody wants to come and exploit the oil, you can't stop them. So what we can do is first to make sure that domestically we are a place where investors would like to come. And to do that, that's why I said foreign policy is an adjunct of domestic policy. You cannot say I'm going to do a diplomacy of inviting a steel manufacturing plant to come to Nigeria where they have no access to electricity. You cannot say I'm going to invite people in finance and fintech to come if you have no legal regime that they can use to work. You can't say, well, I'm going to go on send the tourism board to go all over the world, and you don't have good airports that can receive them. You don't have safety on the road. So I would make sure that I arrest the issue of poor governance, accountability for our resources. And on many occasions, I dare say this, I've seen Nigerian overseas leading missions to come and fight for a $500 million investment.
after having wasted immediately before leaving home about $3 billion of their own money. So Nigeria is a country where our major investment will come the way it has been in India, Indonesia, Turkey, and other medium powers. It cannot be the way the WTO DG is looking at it. I think they are more experienced in dealing with small countries like Rwanda, feel like that Ghana, that if you invest $100 million, it's life-changing experience. But in Nigeria, a state governor can use that one to celebrate the anniversary of his election. So what you need to do is to make sure we have accountability, that we receive the revenue that we are supposed to receive. I have made it a point that from my calculations since 2015 to now, in fact, from 2012 to now, we've not collected more than 7% of the potential revenue we're supposed to collect. So my foreign investment drive is for big items, not for small things like that, because if we have accountability at home, we raise our revenue the way we should do it. We don't look at people's faces when revenues are due to be collected. We don't give unnecessary waivers to the tune of trillions. If we do that, we'll have enough money for the basic investment we need to make, and then foreign investors will come here to do medium-sized and big projects. And those ones will have their own terms and understand the people. For example, I'm happy they did the Lekki port, Lekki deep sea port. You will see that not much of government money is involved in that. And Lagos is probably, you can't have another state in outside Lagos where you can do that. So we need to create more spaces like that. I have up to about 17 more that could be done between Badagry and Rio de Rey in Cross River. So if we do that, I think we can do that. And if we look at inland waterways, I've met many people all over the world who are interested in inland water transportation, inland aquatic farming, and so many other things. So we just need to create a system where you can have a policeman who can come to your aid if you're in trouble. You can have a post office that works. You can travel within Nigeria with ease. Given the geospatial distance in Nigeria, I think the longest distance anyone longest amount of time anyone should spend in transporting Nigeria should be 3 hours, end to end. So those are the things we need to get right if you want investment to come. And then we need to do something regarding our internet bandwidth. NCC has not been doing well because a lot of the money which is being paid by both subscribers and the internet service provider and all the other operators is meant to do background infrastructure. They haven't been doing that, and a lot of the money has not even been accounted for. It's one of those monies you find in the MDAs. So if we do all of those things, the bandwidth is getting better. It should be shocking to you that your telephone is not working better than it did in 2001. That's incorrect. So those are the things which I think if we do domestically, investment will come and will make it easier for everybody.
Okay, harnessing possibility is another thing to promote inter-African trade, which is about 15%, which is a paltry amount. So will your foreign policy also include connectivity, which is a very fundamental? I can't take a plane directly from Lagos to Malawi any longer. Sometimes you have to go out of the continent of Africa to be able to go to other parts of Africa. That's one. Even telephony, you all know what happens. That if you dial a number today in Ghana, it first goes abroad, then it comes back to Ghana, which also increases the cost and things like that. Secondly, doing all of this vis-a-vis climate change exigencies, in the sense that we have problems with climate change, the West is now being hypocritical that for you to be able to do anything, climate parameters must be, upheld. But the truth is the West who have opened up their coal power plants in other parts like Germany and the likes, and we were still opening up our economy here. Oil was just discovered again in Nasarawa. Drilling will still start again in Nasarawa, apart from the Kobani we just did. When you look at things like that, and also the fact that the West African corridor brings a lot of possibility. Lagos to Abidjan, the distance on road is just less than 2,000, a little over 2,000 kilometers. We can have a megapolis in the next 50 years that the two cities, Lagos and Abidjan, are integrated, and you have a lot of satellite cities across the line. So what are you thinking as regards all of these ideas?
Yeah, it's a wonderful idea to kind of link Lagos and Abidjan, but I want to do that immediately after linking Lagos and Maiduguri, and after linking Lagos and Kano, and other things like that. What I see going on as a major problem is, if you look at all these valid issues you have raised, there are problems that lie at the desk of Nigeria. Because the idea, if we hadn't ruined Whiskey Tango, the Nigerian Airways, with our open air agreements that we have enough investment inside Nigeria today to revive the Nigerian airways and to make it do most of these routes. If you look at Europe, there is no Brussels Air and a few of these airlines. What carries Europe is Air France and British Airways. So, and maybe Lufthansa joining it. So it is the big brother.
And EasyJet.
And EasyJet, yeah, exactly. So what Nigeria, yes, Nigeria is the one that can do it. And if you look at many of these other ones, you will see that Air France has some shares in them, British Airways has in some, just to push them. So what I think we need to do is that Nigeria needs to provide the regional infrastructure. We have the means to do it. If we just stop stealing the money, stop wasting the money, we can do that. Then once we do that, for example, you see that many of our banks are all on these African countries now, and they're in the countries and they don't mind them being there. They wouldn't mind our airlines being there. If we extended our rail line from Lagos, if we take it to Togo, Lome, they won't mind. But if you look at the infrastructure that we agree with ECOWAS, the superhighway, you will see that even though they are less endowed, they build their own side. We are the one coming last in building our own. If you look at the Lagdo Dam that we agree with Cameroon, they build their own. We are the one who haven't built our own. So our foreign policy in the African continent is just almost like 85% our domestic policy. But it's outside Africa, the fourth ring of Gambari's and Adeniji's circles, is that outside Africa, our foreign policy must be narrowed down to two beneficial things. One, that they concede to us this West Africa, Lower Sahel, and near Central Africa as our theater, so that they don't come and destabilize us here. We need to have that out of contest. Two, we need to...
Probably that's why Professor Kiva was talking about the bomb.
Yeah, but it's too late for the bomb now, because if we are able to address poverty, we're able to address insecurity. We don't need that bomb, that black bomb, to be able to frighten anybody, because our superpower status is inborn. If we turn our 210 million population into one which doesn't have the current profile of 133 million in poverty, if you have 133 million middle classes with different professions, different expertise, that is the real bomb now. If you are able to secure this land and our satellite countries around us, I'm sorry that I call them satellite countries, but countries around us, if they see that they can be secured, when you talk to the Ghanaians, when you talk to...
Well, I see a contradiction.
Yes.
Now, see, let's talk theory,
the
theory of it. Nigeria's foreign policy is based on the idea that Africa is the centerpiece of Nigeria's foreign policy process. And that has been the tradition that we have maintained. When you went to the NIA yesterday, they were saying foreign policy should be an adjunct of domestic priorities. But over the years, we have seen Nigeria making foreign policy, traveling abroad, looking good at international conferences as more important and playing Father Christmas across Africa, more important than domestic priorities. How do you intend to change that? Because you started by saying, oh, you will deal with domestic economy, insecurity, but you've ended up now saying, oh, we have to look after our neighbors. So I see a contradiction.
Okay, now let me resolve it.
Where do you stand in the matter? Because it's an ideological challenge for Nigeria.
But I've resolved the dilemma. I've passed through the horn of the dilemma. One is this. One, it was Balewa who said Africa will be the cornerstone. And then when we made enough money, then the military said it will be the centerpiece. For me, I think that what we can do, and the things that I want to do, is to be sure that it is what I want to do domestically that informs what I do outside, including regionally. For example, all the things I have said we will do for our neighbors is not out of charity. It's because we need to take full control of the theater. For example,
we don't have peace here. We will be promoting peace in Africa.
No,
contradiction.
No, what they were doing with respect to promoting peace in Africa was on the assumption at that time that we had peace at home, because at that time you couldn't have civil war in Chad without we saying, stop that, and they will stop. You couldn't do anything in West Africa without listening to us. We were able to tell it, Liberians, so cut it off. We did something in Sierra Leone. But because we weaken ourselves domestically, our ability to effectively discharge this obligation overseas was weakened. At the same time, we did not want to admit internationally that we were not able to play this role. So what we have now decided we can do is as follows. One, while we are removing poverty and insecurity here, which is majority of my effort, there's a link between what happens regionally and our security. So for that reason, if people are coming from outside our region to try to play a role in regional security, in fact, some of them started saying that they can even help us in playing that role, thereby displacing us. I realized that no, we can't allow that to happen. So it's in our own national interest to see that this theater that belongs to us by right is maintained. And to do that, strong armed forces at home, strong defense policies at home, very sound and well-articulated doctrine for our regional security. Once we do that, then the services which our neighbors require of superpowers, they can come to us. We can stabilize it. So that is very important. For example, it shouldn't come to a point where Gambian officers will not come to Kuru, Dips anymore. They won't come to Jaji anymore. They won't come to ND anymore. We cannot allow that to happen. So we have to let that happen. Yeah.
Thank you, Prince Adewale Adebayo, for coming. Unfortunately, we're out of time now, but thanks for spending your morning with us on the morning show.
Thank you.
It's time now for a short break on the morning show. When we return, we'll have Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni join us to review top stories in today's newspapers. Stay with us.
Emergencies happen when you least expect them to. It gets worse when you are cash-strapped. No need to despair. First Advance has you covered. You can get that urgent cash right now on First Advance. With First Advance, salary earners can get up to 50% of their salary. No hassles. As long as you earn a monthly salary and your salary account has been active for at least 2 months. It doesn't matter if you run a salary account with First Bank or any other bank. Just dial *894*11# or simply dial *894# on your mobile phone. What's more, when you open a First Bank salary account, you can enjoy 0 charges and free debit card issuance. Download the First mobile app on Play Store or App Store today. Log in to experience First Bank digital banking. Select loans, select First Advance, and follow the prompts to receive your loan. Don't let that urgent need get the best of you. Get First Advance now. It's as simple as dialing *894*11#. First Advance. Fast, convenient, secure. You first. First Bank.
Lagos has amassed more wealth than any other state in the country to be the most comfortable city to live in.
Now Lagos is earning 51 billion naira every month.
But even with all that money, this is the Lagos you have now. Bad roads filled with potholes, poor drainage system resulting in floods during rainy season, incessant traffic congestions, increased environmental pollution, poor healthcare system, large-scale child begging, poor security and increased crime rate, impunity of state government officials, lack of clean drinking water, poor transportation system. After years of empty promises, Lagos is now rated as the second worst city to live in the world. How long shall we continue like this? Lagos is not working. We want our Lagos back. Vote Dr. Abdulaziz Olajide Adediran Jandor as governor of Lagos State. Jafueko, fight for Lagos.
PDP, power to the people. This na Emeka. He like to dey keep money for her. As CBN deadline don dey near so. This one na wise Emeka. As he don hear say deadline dey near, he wan carry money go deposit for the right place with Access Bank.
It's time to spread your wings and fly. Reach for the sky.
Even if the bank too far, na to go to the nearest Access Closer agent. No carry last with your money.
Get up right now, right now. Get up
money wey you deposit for Access Bank, na money wey go make your mind rest well well. Don't let the money spoil for your hand o. 10 million naira today, fit be 0 naira tomorrow. Oya o, Musa, Shade, Onyinye, carry your money go Access Bank or Access Closer agent wey near you. Access, more than banking.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Ifeni. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning.
Yes, let's start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. The lead story, NAMI, FIRS, raked in unprecedented 10.1 trillion naira tax revenues in 2022. Oil, non-oil taxes contributed 41%, 59% respectively. 1.81 trillion naira in tax waivers impeached on collections. Laments political interest, multiple tax authorities hampering revenue drive. Buhari hails achievement. Yes, the executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mohammed Nami, yesterday addressing the press on the performance of the tax collection agency. There, a record 10.1 trillion naira tax. And of course, non-oil taxes contributing more than oil revenue in recent times. So it's a good one, a welcome development, but it could have been more. But for tax waivers given by the government due to different laws, 1.81 trillion in tax waivers impinged on collection. Of course, perhaps going forward, the government will have to look at these tax waivers, the benefit, but sometimes the benefits that come when you give tax waivers, many Nigerians can see the Apapa Oroshoki road, which the Dangote group has turned, Apapa to Bagada. That's where they have now turned to concrete solid road, of course, due to the tax incentives which Dangote group will get as a result of taking care of that road. Sometimes it brings a number of benefits. Now, above the masthead, history as Buhari inaugurates $1.5 billion Lekki deep sea port, witnesses first cargo ship offloading, inaugurates rice mill, best of lubricant plant, Chinese envoy says it's signed Nigeria's investment climate can be trusted. Yes, a huge one there, the Lekki deep sea port, and it will improve the capacity of Nigerian ports generally. But it's good to hear that that port is being managed by the French, because we know what happened to Apapa port, to Tinkan Island ports, to the extent that Nigerian importers were preferring to take their goods to Cotonou ports. Lack of maintenance, provision of adequate equipment when this equipment goes bad. So we hope this, yes, definitely will bring more jobs, more goods being transported in and outside the country, and more importantly, being a hub for the West African sub-region. Yes, President Buhari will take that credit. It happened under my watch. Friendly investment environment. And if the Chinese are saying that, then you say kudos to President Muhammadu Buhari. This is one that he will take as credit that it happened under his administration. Now, other stories quickly. Now, the Guardian newspaper is reporting 65 million naira lost as NPA shot Lagos port over Buhari's visit. Freight forwarders kick as cargoes get trapped. Police unleash dogs on them. Buhari commissions 1.5 billion Lekki port. Lagos rice mill port. Lekki port can handle 4 times Apapa Tinkan cargoes. Well, this is an unfortunate one that they had to shut the ports yesterday in Apapa. Why they have to do that? Of course, because over time they've not been able to deal with the traffic situation created by tankers and trailers. So when a big man is visiting, like the president, you just chase everybody away, shut down businesses so that the president can have easy ride. Not a good way to solve problems. I think that problem is one that the Lagos state government with the NPA authorities will have to deal with even after Governor Sanwo-Olu will have been elected if Lagosians decide to elect him. It's not a problem you can run away from. The Apapa traffic gridlock. Businesses have been killed and many have moved out of that location. Properties, the price of properties dropped because of the situation of gridlock into and out of Apapa. Now, the Daily Trust newspaper, old Naira notes, Nigerians fear massive losses as deadline draws near. Business owners give January 25 deadline. Food prices soar as traders reject old notes. Family rejects old notes as bride price. That's a new one. Yes, they don't want to get stuck with, especially when it's difficult to come by a new note. So anybody that's coming to make payment.
But they can transfer bride price now. That's what we're talking about.
You have to touch bride price for it to be valid.
No, you just bring
can't
one
transfer bride
then
price.
You transfer the rest.
And you know, Rufai, no. You know, we married man. We know what we are talking about here. Please. You don't transfer bride price. Then you now say the ATM failed or the POS failed. No. Everything has to be done.
Is looking with a straight face because he also had his own, but it's fine. I will surprise all of you.
Let's move on. Rufai, this is 2020. This is the year. Now, New Telegraph newspaper, Nigeria moves to overturn P&ID's $11 billion arbitration award. Says government officials compromised. Bribery allegation false defendant. NMPCL fails to stop Ararume's 100 billion naira suit against Buhari over unlawful sack. Corporations cancel stage workout. Now, the P&ID's issue is still on. Nigeria still pursuing to overturn that arbitration award. Humongous $11 billion award. Of course, Nigerian authorities pointing at the shady deals that went into that transaction. And I hope the court in the UK will take note and act accordingly, hoping. Now, the Daily Sun newspaper, elections. 3.5 million students won't vote. Will be in school during elections, whereas they registered at home. Nigerians knock varsities, police for not considering academic break. I don't know who will take charge of that. Academic break at this time when students spend so many months at home. Academic break to go and vote? Well, maybe somebody's looking at that. The Nigerian Tribune, petrol sells as high as 350 naira per litre. Motorist commuters groan. Yes, the problem is still very much on. Queues for fuel, to get fuel is a problem and it is costly. Perhaps time to look at subsidy removal again. But last week it was reported that the federal government has removed subsidy or has increased the price of petrol to 185. But that has since been denied by the NMPCL. Now, the Nigerian Tribune, also the front page, PDP seeks court order to declare Tinubu ineligible to contest. How Atiku will win February poll model in Bayelsa. PDP presidential candidate says Niger Delta people need restructuring more. Now, the Nation newspaper, Buhari's declaration in Bauchi, Tinubu is incoming president. Yes, Buhari's declaration in Bauchi, Tinubu is incoming president. Why not should vote for ex-governor by Lawan Gbajabiamila, PDP, abandoned region to Boko Haram. That's what the APC is saying. Now, Business Day newspaper, diesel rises to 184 naira by 184%. Yes, diesel defies global oil price swing. Now, the foreign newspapers quickly. The Guardian newspaper, Prime Minister admits questions need answering on Zanawi tax. Number 10 instructs ethics advisor to begin investigation into Tory party chairman. Will he survive this probe? Well, the Prime Minister himself has questions to answer because many are saying, did he know about the issue concerning Zanawi's tax before his appointment? And of course, other appointment, his appointment of the head of the BBC, also under the lens, Ruben, Rufai, and Ayo.
Well, one, the story you have not taken, which I think I would like to refer to, is that the federal government of Nigeria has now decided that all travelers arriving in Nigeria must take the COVID test and show proof of vaccination. We had made a point that having the Chinese Lunar Year, New Year, and the movement from China to other parts of the world, that perhaps countries should take measures. As we have seen in countries like Malaysia, the United States, the United Kingdom, it's important that at the end of the day, the Nigerian Port Health Services have now come round to this point to say that we need to be vigilant. We don't take anything for granted, especially as we cannot rely on data coming from China. Other countries have expressed concern in that particular regard. Africa may have been lucky with COVID-19, but still, discretion is a better part of valor. That's one. Number two is the CBN, this currency swap, issue. I saw a story saying there are restrictions. The thing is restricted to just 5 banks, and you can't do more than 10,000 naira. All of this. Today is what date now? 24th.
Yes.
We have just about 5 days to go. Would the CBN perhaps consider an extension? Because everywhere you go now, it's still the old notes. It's only Emmanuel Efeni's bank that is giving out new notes.
Well,
other banks are not giving out those new notes.
I don't want to know. If I use modern banks, it's not my problem.
No,
because Ruben, every time,
modern banks.
since last two Saturdays ago, every time I withdraw now is clean currency I receive.
Maybe have special hands
in your own bank.
Thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel Efeni, for today's newspaper
Dr.
review.
do you do internet banking?
Thank you, Rufai. We have to go for a short break now. When we return, Aaron Akerijola will be here with global sports updates. Stay with us.
New Naira notes? Don't panic. Here's what you need to know. Ensure to make deposits of all old banknotes before January 31, 2023. To make the process seamless for you, all Fidelity Bank branches will be open till 6 p.m. on weekdays and 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturdays to allow for cash deposits only. Also, please note that bank charges on all cash deposits have been suspended by the CBN. However, charges shall still be applied on cash withdrawals. The new banknotes can be accessed at any Fidelity Bank branch nationwide from December 15, 2022. Old banknotes will remain in circulation till January 31, 2023, when they will cease to be legal tender, as directed by the CBN. For more inquiries, follow us on our social media channels. or email us at true.serve@fidelitybank.ng. You can also call 0700 3035 489 or reach us on WhatsApp on 090 3000 5252. Thank you for banking with us.
We are Fidelity. We keep our word. Introducing an all-time mega offer. Get over 50% discount in the Airtel Home Broadband mega offer. Buy a router for just 10,000 naira and get up to 240 gigabyte or a MiFi for 5,000 naira and get up to 125 gigabyte bonus data. More data, more you. Reliable home broadband buy.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Nigeria na we country, APC na the party, na one man be our choice.
At last, the elections are here. Let's turn out en masse on election day and vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as president of Nigeria for a renewed hope and a better Nigeria. Vote APC, the party that shows a broom.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. For updates on sports stories across the globe, Aaron Akerojola joins us. Hello, Aaron.
Yeah. A very good morning to you, Ayo. Good morning to you, Doctor. Good morning to you, Rufai. Let's start it off from the man that is chasing the record. He might not have trophies to show for his time playing football. Harry Kane, 266 goals, equaling Jimmy Greaves' record. What a finish from Harry Kane. He's just been phenomenal for the Lily Whites, and you can actually see the equaling the great Jimmy Greaves, and he will surpass it because he has time in his hands, and with the season still in its halfway stage, you can actually say that Harry Kane can do that, but they've actually closed the gap between themselves and Manchester United in fourth. But this man is looking like he will actually break Harry Kane's wings this season because he is the fastest to the hat-trick. We spoke about this yesterday. 90 matches. It has taken this man, Erling Haaland, to get that many hat-tricks, 4 of them to be very precise. So, and it's looking like he will be winning the Golden Boot. Harry Kane is still far behind with 16 goals. So you can actually just look at that and say, let's see how this season will actually pan out. But away from this, not so good news. A lot of people expected so much from maestros of football who have actually taken to coaching. One of them is Frank Lampard. He says, I'm gutted to be sacked. So many of my friends and family, when I got home, John Terry was there comforting my wife and the rest of them. A lot of people have been falling behind this man and actually trying to console him. And the unfortunate thing about Frank Lampard is he's not been able to last past 18 months in his previous jobs, whether at Derby or Chelsea. And put Everton into the mix right now. This man has been struggling with this. Put a dent in his coaching career moving forward. We'll have to wait and see. But right now, they're looking towards Marcelo Bielsa to help the toughest, probably sterve relegation at the moment. If you can actually see the table, they are right there at the bottom of the table, literally scraping the barrel. It's unfortunate that a traditional club like Everton are where they are. But Frank Lampard, right now, not showing that he's good enough to mix it with the big boys in the Premier League, and his compatriot, talking about Steven Gerrard, also showing that he's not good enough at this level. It's very, very tough at the Premier League level. So let's see how it actually goes. Now turning to one man who is leaving English football, talking about William Troost-Ekong, Nigerian international. He has actually said his goodbyes after 3 years with Watford, and he is going to
Italy, and we're hoping that he has a better spell than he did when he played for Udinese. Salernitana is the destination, of course, on loan, and with a view to make it permanent at the end of the season. So let's see how he actually goes. We wish him all the best. But let's turn our attention to the Australian Open, where it's getting fast and furious. Raducanu actually put into sword Yelena Ostapenko in that particular match. At the moment, Raducanu seems to be the one in form. And with Ons Jabeur out of the way, with Iga Swiatek out of the way, certainly everyone is looking towards her. And once again, your man, Novak Djokovic, doing it right now. Almost setting the record. Second longest consecutive run, 25 matches at the Melbourne Park. Only one man, the great Agassi, has 26. So this man, he's looking like he might just be able to break that record and go on to show that when it comes to having a tiger mentality, when it comes to having that monster mentality, he's up there with the very best of sportsmen in the history of the game.
I think he'll break it.
Let's see how he actually goes. Of course, Kachanov actually put it to Koda in that particular one. So the pairings are actually out. It's not looking entirely easy for Novak Djokovic because he will be taking on Rublev and in his next match sometime later on today or probably tomorrow based on the time in Australia. So you look at that and you say to yourself that it's not easy for him, but he would have to soldier on all the same. And if he can go past Rublev, certainly he will be hoping that he might have the luxury of maybe a Shelton or a Paul in the semi-final. So you look at that and you say that he's still in pole position to probably win this tournament, but the fact that he's not full of faith, people are questioning how far can he go and how much beating can his body take to be able to get to that final in Melbourne and lift that particular trophy. Novak Djokovic has done fantastic things, but this is new territory for him because it's not easy playing with an injury, especially one that some are saying that it's actually a muscle tear, some are saying it's a hamstring, whatever it is. Right now, Novak Djokovic is actually stretching himself. And finally, Minister Sunday Dare has actually extended an olive branch to Sebastian Imasuen, who has been down with stroke, and the former coach of the Nigeria under-16 national team has been down, not looking good, and he sent his aides, and also sent some monies to actually help the man who is recuperating right now in Benin.
All right, kudos to the minister, but it shouldn't be a case that when people that have served us at the national level are down with stroke, it's the minister that has to do personal intervention. We should have a scheme that takes care of that already, and we keep calling for that, but kudos to the minister. Real quickly, I think Djokovic will do it. You know why I think Djokovic will do it? It's called mental strength, and he can push his body so far. I keep telling the story about Djokovic. His parents used to be restaurateurs that sold pizza. Because the cheese, and the intake of food was affecting him, he cut pizza out of his diet. I remember when he went on that long streak. He has one of the longest streak of winning in tennis thus far. You remember when he broke Ivan Linde's record then? So people thought he couldn't do it, but he did it. And that's the resolve and the spirit this man brings out there. So I wish him a lot of luck as a soldier runs. Too bad for Frank Lampard. I feel very bad for him. I think it was just appointed about February last year. Yeah. And this time things have gone south for him. But let me be a little bit cheeky. In that, he says, when I got to
Don't even go there. Don't go there.
We're on the count. I'm like, no, not again.
No, I had some editors.
Not again.
Actually, not. We actually had a banter about it.
Not again.
But
please.
Not on TV, please.
Not
on TV,
not
please.
John Terry on the couch with another woman. Please.
Not
John Terry.
And I said John Terry
Not
was
on
a
the
brief
couch.
episode. I was like, red flag.
Can we please focus on the fact that... Can we focus on the fact that right now he has his friends came to his rescue.
Not just
and
on the
he
couch.
loved the fact that his friends were there for him at his time of need or at his lowest ebb.
But he will do well. They'll bounce back.
Okay.
No cheats for Frank Lampard.
Yeah, okay.
He was already taking the team to relegation.
Yes, he was.
And so the owners of the club, the major investor, Moshiri, had to act quickly. In fact, they were already talking to possible replacements before they sacked him yesterday. So it's not a surprise. But the question is the problem that of Frank Lampard? Does he have the right squad? Or could it be that he was not making use of the squad that is available to him? So what next? that's a bigger question for Everton. What next? Are they going to go the way of Besler, who has not had a job? Or they would talk to Wayne Rooney, who is also probably, on the cards.
Yeah.
But would somebody come and save Everton from relegation? That's number one. Congratulations to Harry Kane. He did very well yesterday.
Yes, he did.
With that goal. Classical finish, which confirmed him as a world-class player. So 260 goal, matching the record of Greece. But there's another record for him to beat. 199 goals in the Premier League since it was founded in 1992. Ahead of him, he has Alan Shearer with 260 goals. He has Rooney ahead of him with 208 goals. But there's no doubt that he will get into that particular category. You talk about Djokovic. The question is, who will stop Djokovic? Yesterday, when he moved into the quarterfinals, having beaten his opponent, he said, look, this has been his best match this season so far. So he has Rublev to worry about. He has Tsitsipas. Tsitsipas is the only other big name in that tournament. So don't be surprised. Djokovic may just go all ahead. On the women's side, what's her name? Rybakina. Is already in the semifinals, having beaten Ostapenko. She took out Iga Swiatek. Ostapenko took out Coco Gauff, who I understand says she has found new excitement in TikTok. But that's an aside. Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure, Doctor. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, we'll take a short break now. And when we return, we'll be talking to Dabira Oluwa Adeyinka, NSAN's frontliner, former Lagos State chairman of the Social Democratic Party, and our spokesperson, Jandor gubernatorial campaign. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Yesterday I got a call from Globe. I won a 3-bedroom bungalow.
Yes, guys! Guess what? I won a car.
I won a generator by participating in the Festival of Joy promo by Glow.
Hey, Glow don't do this one for me. Glow to make it to me with sewing machine.
I won generator last year. This year I won for
It's a celebration like no other with prizes like no other. 20 new houses to be won. 24 brand new cars. 200 sewing machines, 100 generators, 1,000 rechargeable fans. Glow Festival of Joy promo. Dial *611# now.
As you adjust to the new realities for operating your business and engaging with your customers, let us help you transform your business into a digital powerhouse capable of adapting and taking advantage of today's opportunities. With our best-in-class array of digital solutions, you can conduct your business, receive payments from your customers, and perform transactions quickly, safely, and conveniently, because we've got you covered with the right people, technology, and service offerings. Contact us today and let us take your business to its zenith. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
Papa, mama, brother, sister, this Lagos must work for all of us. Everybody down Fueko.
Oh yes, Lagos people. Papa, mama, sister, brother, auntie, plus including uncle them. Better don't land for Lagos State gidigba. Money will be for Lagos State, then go use them for Lagos State. Wella, no more Baba Sope. They no go chop Lagos State money. Nobody go pocket Lagos State. Then go take and build Lagos State, build road, build hospital, build houses, and now only one man fit do this job. His name na Abdulaziz Olajide Adediran
Jandor. He can't carry one ogbonge person as a deputy governor. Her name na Funke Akindele Jennifer. My people, what do we wait for? Make we vote for light, vote for change. No be the kind change where they vote before. This one na the original change. How Amumu don't do? Pay they pay.
Everybody
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. The governorship ambition of the candidate of the People's Democratic Party in Lagos, Dr. Olajide Adediran, got a major boost on Monday as members of the state executives of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, defected to the PDP. The defection was led by the chairman of the SDP in the state, Ms. Dabira Adeyinka. Ms. Adeyinka led key members of the party's state working committee to defect to the PDP to team up with the Jandor Funke Gubernatorial Campaign Council in order to actualize the Breath of Fresh Air agenda. Dr. Olajide Adediran, popularly called Jandor, the governorship candidate of the PDP in the state, received the defectors led by Ms. Dabira Adeyinka. Adediran noted that there is a need for the party to form an alliance to unseat the status quo in the state. Joining us now on the morning show is Dabira Adeyinka, former state chairperson, SDP Lagos. Good morning and welcome to the show, Ms. Adeyinka.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here.
Okay, tell us about this defection. You almost met the candidate of the Social Democratic Party in the studio here. That's Adewale Adebayo. And then you just come in almost immediately after him. You just left the SDP. You have joined the PDP. So what's the proposition? Why now?
Why now? That's a big question. Why now? Okay. I think I'm going to start from my journey into politics. It was bettered from NSAS, aftermath, NSAS, and afterwards, when the election period was approaching, I was also approached that it would be better for us to go off the streets and infuse ourselves into politics so that we can make our agitations clear within those circles. And then I think SDP was a first, ladder and a learning phase for me. And it was quite a good experience I had. And at some point, I was also laid back to put measures in place that if we need to, confront a stronghold such as APC, we need something that can equal the match. And do I have that strength? Am I in a place where I can get that strength that I need? Because for me, it's not just about the election for me. It's about the fact that we need a change of status quo, especially in the states where I live in, which is Lagos State. We've had quite a lot of experience as Nigerian youth, and I was weighing my options. Where are the youths tilting towards? And some of the people that really gave me that courage to come out and give my support to PDP in Lagos was one, Funke Akindele. She is of like mind. She has impacted the system, especially the Nigerian youth. She's a known brand. The likes of Banky W, we did NSAS together and all that, and a lot of movements that I can't continue to recall. So for me, there were people that I needed to give my support to, because if you have, we need the youths that we were called the youth of tomorrow, the leaders of tomorrow, and we are yet to lead in our 40s. So when are we definitely going to start leading? And this cycle of governments, they are in their 70s, 60s and above. We need fresh air. We need innovations in the system. We need to infuse ourselves into the system. So I felt for me, it's high time. It took me like 3 months to make these decisions.
Okay.
Yes, I've looked through the entire parties,
okay, including
APC.
Yeah.
I've had conversations, I've been invited for meetings, and I had to also sit back and rethink. So for me, I think it is the right time for me, and it is a decision that is beyond me, okay, because I relate more with the grassroots people. I have seen events that I find myself in, like the story of Jumoke, Ojota and Co., how it ended, and how the case was going, the Christmas day, the woman that was killed and stuff like that. And I'm like, we can't continue like this. I think through SDP, I got a machinery, okay, but I needed a loaded machinery too.
All right. Okay, so thanks for...
the machine gun.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for breaking it down. And your choice is your choice. Like you said, you had a number of months to have a think about this. But some people might want to x-ray your choice of the PDP as a party of option, okay, when you're moving away from the SDP because they didn't have structure. And you're talking about wanting a party that's youth-focused and is putting up young candidates. When you say this, are you speaking to just the gubernatorial election, or are you speaking as well to the presidential? Because the PDP's presidential candidate is 76 years old. So if you're speaking for young people and you want someone who would represent young people, I would assume that you'd want to go for a party that is projecting young people across all levels, not just at the state level.
Okay, I decided to downtone my impact in the election into the gubernatorial election. He's young as well. I mean, Jando is 45. Funke Akindele is 45. Banky W is in his 40, I guess. So I am just narrowing it down to the president.
So you're not supporting the presidential candidate?
I am not in for the presidential candidate. I'm focused more on the Jando's movement.
So who you support for president, as a presidential candidate?
My former principal is quite good, intelligent, is the right man for the job, I think. But at this, I mean, the Nigerians, are they ready for that kind of politics?
Who is your former chairman?
That's Prince Adewale Adebayo of SDP, presidential candidate.
Okay. So while before this interview, I had interfaced, and what some people were saying is that you have obviously used your NSAS fame to be able to now become a political window shopper. That's the impression with a lot of people out there.
Okay.
That now, with this, you're trying to renege on the youth you represented, and it's not a game of highest bidder. To the extent that you had talked to some political party in the past, that some of them even threatened you when you finally make this move. What would you share about that?
I wasn't window shopping. I didn't intend to want to be in politics. In fact, Prince Adewale Adebayo, the presidential candidate for SDP, groomed me into it and gave me that support that you can do it, because it wasn't a field that I want to experience. I just want to be an activist, and that was it. Okay, window shopping. It is okay for you to be called for a meeting. It is okay to listen. It is also okay for you to go back home and take your decision. That you are invited to a meeting does not mean you will dance to the tune of, the purpose of that meeting.
So you've been invited to a meeting by the APC?
Yeah, not even the APC inviting me right now. The Nigerian youth, some youths think them infusing themselves into the APC is a better choice for them. And we had an alignment from NSAS. So some of them think, okay, let us see how we can infuse ourselves. Like I listened to the story of Jando, he said, I had to infuse myself into that system to understand the system. So that was the idea for me.
And you were close to making this move to the APC before you went to the PDP?
No, I wasn't.
But you had made considerations as regards that?
No, I didn't.
So why were you threatened?
Threatened, I wouldn't call it threatened yet. People call me and say, we've been looking for you. I've been wanting to meet with you. Why did you take this decision? I wish we've spoken. Can you still make a turn back?
Who called you?
I won't mention names.
From the APC?
Yes.
Okay.
This morning.
No problem, Dabira. Don't worry. Nigerians use anything as a ladder.
Yeah, sure.
From NSAS to politics to Aso Rock. It's okay.
It's okay.
You know, it's part of your privilege as a Nigerian citizen. But let me ask you. We were told that yesterday when you joined the PDP, you went with 15 other executives of the of the SDP, plus your good self, 16 of you. Just 16 persons. And then you've said it on this program that the attraction is Funke Akindele and also Bankole Wellington, Banky Dobi. Is it supposed to be a Nollywood affair or something bigger?
No, it's not a Nollywood affair. And I don't think they went into the move for advocating for a new Nigeria because they were celebrities. Being a celebrity, yeah, is an edge, but also it also helps to project down to the Nigerian youth. That's one. Two, moving with just 15 people. I've had some of the ESCOs too that reached out to me and said, we were not aware you were making this move as I was sitting down waiting for my turn. And that's, we trust your decision. We would like to be part of this. And I tell some of them, look, that I'm moving does not mean you should move with me. It's my own personal decision, my personal conviction that I do this. I don't need to convince other people to go that route with me.
No, I ask that question because when people say they are moving from one party to the other, what they tell us, we are moving 700,000 people. We are moving 1 million people from one party to the other. In your case, just 16 of you?
Yeah, just 16 of us. Just 16 of us were the ESCOs of the party.
Do you all have PVCs?
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay.
All right, okay. So let's talk about the issues. I mean, you've talked about how you align with the vision of the gubernatorial candidate of the PDP in Lagos and his vice. What are some of the things that he stands for that aligns with your
talking
values?
about his ideology in terms of restructuring Lagos, like I also read some of his articles, and we all know, a lot of people in Lagos know that Lagos is more like a cosmetic plan that they sell to us that they are working, but it could have been better, far better than what we are getting. They sell to us, they make it look like we are enjoying a benefit. It is supposed to be our rights as citizens, as residents of Lagos to live at least 50% of a good life because we pay our taxes. So it is not, and I think that is what he's bringing to the table. And I asked him, because I had issues with believing in him in person. My firm relationship was with Banky W, because I like his courage. Because you're an artist, or you are a pastor, or you are anybody doesn't mean you can't be in politics. And we were shying away from that, and that's why today we have mechanics, organizers going into the House of Reps and representing and passing laws
what do they stand for?
What they stand for is a Lagos that is working for everybody, a Lagos that is accessible to everybody, a Lagos that, built on the right structure for the average and the poor. The good housing structure that I read about, Funke Akindele also explained some of those to me. The medical team, the ideology of it, the flyovers, the ideologies of all those. So we shouldn't be celebrating in the midst of nothing when we can get abundance of it. So it's more like we were projected to some like a crumb, and we should just start clapping for it. I think Lagos generates more revenue than any other state from what I have seen so far in my journey in politics. So we can get better.
Right. So real quickly, you've read Jadno's manifesto? A
little bit, because we met a few days ago.
Okay, Justin, so you've not been able to read it and digest it properly yet?
Properly yet, yes.
Okay, so maybe this question will be after when you digest it. But from the little in the manifesto you've seen, what do you think can be improved upon?
I think it should focus more on engaging empowerment, job employment in the state, and housing and the health sector. It should be projected to the people, because those are the basic need of every Nigerian, things that they cannot afford.
What should it do, precisely? Because you said you talked about housing, you talked about bridges, you talked about other things, and you talked about the fact that he will do empowerment. So what should he focus on? What's going to be your grand plan for housing, for instance? Because you are coming with your 16 members.
The ground plan, the ground plan for housing, for instance, should be affordable housing that people can pay little, even if you are not a civil servant, but the fact that you are a Lagosian and you pay your tax, you can pay little and do instrumental payments like it's done every other place in the country. I've seen houses in Lagos that are owned by the government and people don't live in those houses. And it's more like abandoned houses that can actually, so for me, if they do pay less and own a home, it's a good project that people would tilt to us.
Do you still talk to Mr. Kunle Uthman?
Yes, sure.
How is he about this, your decision?
Definitely, he won't take it smiling at me or hugging me, but it's my own personal decision. It's my call. It's my purpose. So he has a purpose why he wanted to run for governorship. I have my purpose for why I want to be in politics.
What's your purpose?
My purpose is to be able to speak for the grassroots people. My purpose is to be able to speak to power if need be.
Okay, what do you think needs to change in Lagos? Because what Jandor is proposing is change. He thinks that there's a dictatorship that has taken hold of Lagos State, and he thinks that it can make a difference. Now, personally, what do you think needs to change? Because as you speak, the president of Nigeria is in Lagos State. He has inaugurated the Lekki deep seaport. He has gone to a lubricant plant. He has gone to a rice mill. He's today, commissioning the Buru rail line. And all of that will seem to look good for the incumbent governor, Sanwo-Olu, and by extension, for the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress coming from Lagos. What do you think that special thing that your candidate is likely to bring to the table? Because now Jandor is your candidate.
Yeah. So what I think needs to change in Lagos is a system of, or the impression of godfatherism or ownership of Lagos. When you hear someone owns, even if it's not true, it looks like it. Imposing people that are inexperienced in the system to run the affairs of the state because they need to answer to someone. So for me, what needs to change is this sense of entitlement to a particular cabal that whatever we say goes in Lagos is what goes. For instance, we can't even drive safely because we have touts everywhere that are going to be harassing us. You can't even where I was in my party, I've experienced where some other parties post their posters on 3rd Mainland Bridge. And I was like, this is a good one. Before coming back from 3rd Mainland Bridge, all those posters have been removed. And I'm like, this is the height of oppression. It shouldn't be like that. So if, for me, politics is, everybody should run their race. The people will make their choice. Unlike you being imposed on people and you didn't even merit that position. People should be able to choose. We want a change of power, for instance. We just need something different. We need to be able to make our choice and say, we put this person in power so we can call for a demand when we are not, aligning again if you happen to get to the office.
All right, so in terms of youth representation, the grassroots, like you mentioned, and also Miss Funke Akindele, whom you say was the drawing, her and Mr. Bankole Wellington were the attractive, force in the PDP to make you decamp. I'd like you to share with us, your grassroots campaign. How can the Lagos State government better serve those who are underserved in areas that are not, that they don't... So, for instance, to talk about infrastructure in certain areas more developed than in other areas, how would you better serve these people, to convince us that it's better than status quo? Okay,
I'll be deviating a little bit, but I'll come back. First of all, when it comes to the grassroots, the local governments are supposed to be representing the people and then taking information down to the House of Assembly, House of Reps members, right? So what we need to do is let there be a communication, because I meet with the grassroots people a lot and we hear stuff like, we vote for them, but they forget us. I've been to places, even in Ogudu, places where I think this is not Lagos. So we need an approach that reaches down to the grassroots, and that is why the grassroots have to be the people that makes the choice of who is governing over them, not imposed over them. Because if, for instance, in a particular area, you don't vote for a particular party, your area will be underdeveloped. You will not be attended to because your area does not vote for the ruling party, the party in existence. So what I think we should do more is engage the grassroots, allow them to have this sense of belonging even in the political, even in this race as we speak. If there can be a door-to-door conversation, meet people. I have a candidate in my former party that started going to communities, that started doing boreholes, even though he said he knew he might not win, but he needs to make an impact. A lot of people are suffering. That is somewhere in Cement, close to Ikeja. Imagine people don't have water in those areas because the government was building a road and they destroyed their water line, and they couldn't fix it back for them. So these are the challenges. And I think there's a lot of lessons that have been picked from the present, government that the government of Jandor can improve upon. And I think that was why he initially journeyed into that part of the politicking, to understand the rudiments of how they run their things and develop on it. For me, I think it's also a smart idea to come out and say, look, I'm going to do it different.
Okay. A quick yes or no question,
yeah.
Just less than 10 seconds. Would you be using this grassroots structure that you've built from the SDP for Jandor?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much, Davira. We wish you well as you make your own political choices. Thank you for joining us on the morning show. It's time now for a short break. When we return, Ojinika Ojiokwe will be here with details on what's trending. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Thanks.
As a player, there's nothing better than the roar of your crowd. But in Nigeria, there's a roar that may not be heard again. With fewer than 50 lions left, they could be extinct in the next few years, from loss of habitat and prey, and snares set for illegal bushmeat. So please, say no to illegal bushmeat. Let's keep the roar alive for Nigeria, because poaching steals from us all.
Imagine your wallet can be everything. Well, almost everything your bank is to you. That's exactly what First Money Wallet is. First Money Wallet from First Bank is another swift and seamless way to bank from your mobile phone. It doesn't matter if you have a First Bank account or not, nor the mobile network you use. Everyone can open a First Money Wallet, and it's very easy. Your phone number is your account number. With First Money Wallet, you can send money using just a phone number, receive money, pay bills, buy airtime and data for yourself or someone else, and in check balance. You don't need a bank account at all or BVN to enjoy the boundless possibilities First Money Wallet offers. All you need is a registered phone number, and you can fund your wallet easily through your First Bank account or any bank account and debit card. What's more, First Money Wallet is highly secure with fingerprint technology and PIN. And when you need cash, just walk up to any First Money agent near you to withdraw money. No smartphone, no wahala. Just dial *894*1# on any phone. So, it doesn't matter if you live in the city or the remotest part of the country. With First Money Wallet, your transactions are easy, seamless, and secure. Download the First Money Wallet app now. Input your phone number and follow the prompts, or simply dial *894*1#. All money now on First Money. You first. First Bank.
I've been running my business on my own, trying my best to get it to the next level, but I really need some help to get ahead. I know just what to do, I'll vote it for my loans, overdraft, step by step to my dream business we vote. Salary earners, entrepreneurs, get your loans with no collateral. Quick sign up, zero paperwork, step by step to your dream business we vote.
is available to individuals, SMEs, and corporate customers. Download Vault by Polaris Bank from the Google Play Store or Apple App Store to get started today.
Esther, you're late again. Esther?
She's a wandering light in the darkness. She's beautiful. Oh, she's a superstar.
Morning, Esther.
She never let her mama down. She's beautiful. She know they fear. She know they ever got a hand for her.
No phones at the table, please. Esther? I love you too.
Got everything? Don't forget I'll pick you at 4.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
My brother, my sister, una dey there? Listen make I clear una well. To win election, no be only say your vote na im plenty pass o. Before person fit win election for we country, the person must win 25% of vote for 2/3 of state plus the FCT for Nigeria. That one na for president. And governor must win the same thing for all local government area for the state. Na so our constitution put am o, and na so all our presido take become presido. All our governors na the same way them take win. So therefore, my people, our country big no be small o, and we get different language, different religion, ethnic group nko. That one self dey nyafu. Now why nobody fit think say if you don't get north vote, abi south vote, abi east or west vote, you don't do. Na lie yo, except you collect vote from all over the country, you just dey bobo yourself. Make una tell everybody, make everybody for know now. Make you no for cause fight tomorrow. Na Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO, bring on this message.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Joining us now is Ojinika Ojiokbe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Jinex.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. How are you this morning?
I'm good.
Perfect. Good morning, Ayo.
I feel like singing Lady in Red. Looking stunning.
Go ahead. You're wearing my favorite color, fuchsia. Dr. Abati, take note. You know that. How are you? You know
fuchsia.
How are you, Rufai?
He's dancing with me.
I love it. Well, all right. You play too much. We play too much. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
No, it's okay.
It's fine, right?
It's work as play.
As long as you say so. As long as you say so, Dr. Abati, take charge.
Work as play.
Well, all right. Good morning to you, viewers. Here are some of the stories that are trending across the globe.
In the United States, 7 people were killed in 2 related shootings on Monday at an agricultural facility in a California coastal community south of San Francisco, marking the state's 3rd mass killing in 8 days, including an attack on Saturday, January 21st at a dance hall that killed 11 during Lunar New Year celebrations. 4 out of the 11 people killed in Saturday's shooting have been identified. The incident is one of the deadliest mass shootings in California's recent history. In Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari performed the historic inauguration of the Lekki Deep Seaport and the Mota Rice Mill project in Lagos on Monday. The Deep Seaport was constructed by China Harbour Engineering Company. It occupies 90 hectares of land reserved for the Lagos Free Zone and has the capacity to allow 18,020 equipment unit vessels. The Mota project is a 32 metric tons per hour rice mill built by the Lagos state government to tackle food insecurity in the country. The project, which is also expected to generate 1,500 direct jobs and 254,000 indirect jobs, has the capacity to produce 2.8 million 50-kilogram bags of rice yearly. Then, the People's Democratic Party held their campaign rally in Bayelsa State, where supporters displayed their rich cultural heritage aboard a canoe on Oxbow Lake Pavilion in Yenagoa. The party's flag bearer, Atiku Abubakar, promised to devolve more powers to the Niger Delta, stating that the region does not need to beg the federal government for everything because it produces the nation's resources.
Here in Bayelsa State, you have faced a number of security challenges. You have lost so many people due to breaches of law and order. I promise I will restore security in this country.
Under sports, 7-time Formula One champion Lewis Hamilton revealed on Monday that he was subjected to racial abuse from the young age of 6 at his school and at a point had bananas thrown at him. Speaking on Purpose podcast, the 38-year-old Mercedes driver admitted that his school days were probably the most traumatizing and most difficult part of his life, while detailing a number of racially abusive terms that he was referred to at school.
The constant jabs, the things that are either thrown at you like bananas, or people that would use the M-word just so relaxed. People calling you half-caste and, just really not knowing where you fit in. That for me was difficult.
Finally, under entertainment, multiple award-winning artist Beyonce has returned to the stage for her first live performance in 5 years with a private concert in Dubai to mark the opening of luxury hotel Atlantis The Royal. Despite a strict no phones policy at the exclusive 1,500-seat arena, footage of the show flooded the internet. Many fans were thrilled to see the return of Queen Bee, but others weren't happy because Dubai has strict laws against same-sex relationships. Renaissance, her latest album, has been celebrated for honoring Black queer culture and taking inspiration from LGBT icons.
You won't break my soul. You won't break my soul. You won't break my soul.
Well, let's begin what's trending in Bauchi State, where the presidential campaign rally of the All Progressives Congress ended abruptly over a power outage and a faulty sound system. The rally, which took place at the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa Stadium, ended shortly after the national chairman of the party, Abdullahi Adamu, mounted the podium and began delivering his speech. President Muhammadu Buhari, who was present at the rally to officially present the APC candidates, including the party's flag bearer, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to the Bauchi electorate, had to leave the rally without giving a speech. Well, a lot of people on social media have said that the organizers of this rally should be punished because, this is probably the first time the president will attend a rally and not able to deliver his speech. But let's take some tweets. This is from Albert, who wrote, Simple political rally, APC can't plan and execute. And you want Nigerians to trust you again for another 4 years. To Fiakwa, the gods of electricity is fighting back and putting confusion into your rank and file. Putting us in darkness for 24 years will never go unpunished. While Sonny wrote, how can a party who cannot organize a hitch-free campaign with all the resources available to them manage a country as ours with all her challenges? This is a clear case of lack of ability to do things right. Well, in the meantime, the Director of Media and Publicity of the All Progressives Congress Presidential Campaign Council, Bayo Onanuga, in a tweet on Monday debunked rumors about the party's flag bearer, Bola Ahmed Tinubu's alleged inability to hold a teacup firmly by posting a video showing Tinubu holding a broom firmly while showing off his dance moves. Let's take a look. Well, you know, there was that story by Najatu Mohamedou, a former APC chieftain, who claimed that, you know, Tinubu had Alzheimer's or something, and, you know, she'd had meetings with him and he couldn't hold the teacup. But we could see Tinubu there, you know, dancing and holding the broom. I mean, I think that it was nice that Bayo Onanuga posted that video. But that rally, Dr. Abati, it was quite something, wasn't it?
Well, the rally in Bauchi, these things happen.
Yeah.
You could have technical glitches, okay, because the organization of the rally, the logistics, oftentimes, you know, that gets contracted out to consultants whose job it is to make sure that things go smoothly. Now, if they fail, if they drop the ball, you know, as party members, there's very little that you can do about it. We were told that there was, you know, electricity, you know, cut and the microphone went off, or that somebody tampered with the wire and all that. So it was a good thing that President Muhammadu Buhari was there to at least experience firsthand what Nigerians go through. Facing, yes. That we also suffer electricity outage, that things don't go well in terms of the supply of electricity. He didn't make a speech. In any case, the microphone was not working, but he still managed to hand over the flag to the gubernatorial candidate of the APC in the state. But what I think is also important about that rally is not the fact that the presidential candidate left or the president left or that the event could not go on as planned, but also that, look, the two parties came together. The governor of Bauchi State was there to receive the president. Other members, you know, who are key officials in the state, they were there to receive the president. And this is what we preach. You know, beyond partisanship, you know, there are certain protocols that have to be followed. The third point that needs to be made is that the president was there. He had very little time because he needed to also come to Lagos for a 2-day, you know, visit to commission, inaugurate, you know, attend to some projects. And he got to Lagos later in the day at about 4 p.m. But, you know, this is political season. People will play politics with just about anything. So these things happen because human beings are involved and human beings make mistakes. And it doesn't matter whether it's a political rally or any other thing. As for Mr. Bayo Onanuga, I'm not aware that Mr. Onanuga has taken a degree in medicine. But, you know, we live in such times that, you know, many Nigerians have become medical doctors. So how do you weigh, you know, the value of a broom and a teacup? I know some teacups that are very heavy to carry. You know, heavier than a broomstick. But in any case, that's the kind of situation in which we have found ourselves. Yes. But the bigger point is about the health of the presidential candidates. Having gone through the experience of sickness and death, as Olusegun Adeniyi has reported in his book, of a similar title, Orientation, Nigerians are now saying, look, for us to have a president, you know, we must look for a man that is healthy and that we are convinced is healthy. it's not about malice. It's God that determines people's health. Pardon my, throwing the religious line. But the truth of the matter is that when you apply for a job, don't they ask people to go for medical checkup? But the people who have taken up the medical checkup assignment now are surrogates, journalists, who have become spokespersons and all of that. But the average Nigerian voter is just saying, we just want our president to be healthy.
Yeah.
Not a president, that will be on steroids or that will be in and out of office. In fact, some people have gone to the extent of saying that maybe we should be arranging jogging exercise for anybody who wants to be president of Nigeria. You jog. Well, let us see whether you can do 100 meters, 300 meters. However, that's not a requirement under the Constitution of Nigeria.
According to Kenneth Okonkwo in that last interview, you got that right. He goes, I need a principal. Let's see if your principal can do bam, bam, bam. We need someone who has the ability to go up the stairs like bam, bam, bam. It was so funny, right? Rufai.
I mean, it's so funny. The theater of the assault happens in Nigeria. Concerning the microphone glitch and the electricity glitch, I think it just also goes further to show the inefficiencies of the service industry in Nigeria. And I think it speaks volumes about those that these things were contracted to. And I think heads are rolling by now. I think by now, that's a national embarrassment.
Yes.
And also, if the president is going to be there, I think his protocol team too should be able to have contingency plans as regards, even microphones used by the president and things like that and all of that. Because it's sad that the president of a country of over 200 million people, because somebody couldn't power up their power somewhere, he couldn't still speak. So they couldn't make a contingency plan.
No.
I think we should start thinking of that. If possible, the president should be able to have a special microphone that can be connected to anything.
The president of Nigeria travels with his own microphone.
That can be connected.
But it's not loud enough to cover a stadium.
That can be connected to anything.
But he couldn't connect. There was electricity. There was an electricity glitch, so he can carry his microphone there. But how would he connect it?
Dr. Abati, I've seen microphones being passed around even at a campaign. That it was not a special microphone that was given to the president.
But he has his own microphone.
He has his own microphone.
I'm telling you, as a man who managed the president's communications for 4 years.
If that is the case, and we don't have that in place here, then it is problematic. And I think the APC must sanction those. Whoever is part of the planning committee that organized that rally in Bauchi that made them, the APC, look bad, they must sanction them and heads must run. If possible, if they've not paid them their balance, they should withhold their balance.
Yes.
I think that's the way to sanction people here, but it speaks volumes. Concerning about healthcare, we must be able to tell ourselves, the nerves to lift a cup of tea is different from that to hold a broom.
Okay.
So I don't know people that are doing medical sciences and giving all sorts of analysis and saying because somebody holds a broom. The nerves to lift a cup of tea are two different things than to hold a broom.
Really?
Let us be very, very factual. No, but it's true now. The nerves to lift a cup of tea is different from the nerves to hold a broom.
He lifted the broom above his head.
Yeah. It was
at least to head level.
To a head level, but it doesn't matter. But isn't it funny that
it's... What if he has to carry something bigger than
No, but I'm sure he does that effectively well. But I think the most important thing here is that our campaign has now been degraded to a level where we are even looking at abilities of lifting cup of tea and lifting broom in a country that is suffering at over 200 million people. You're saying he didn't lift it up to the shoulder of the head. You see, he put it down. That's what he did there. He didn't lift it to a position of head level. They can play the video again. You see, did he lift it to his head? Did he put it on over his head?
Okay.
No, so there are differences there. Whatever this might be, my major concern is, please, God gives life. God gives health. I've even talked about an American president that was on a wheelchair, but he ran the country effectively during the war. All we need is let us even know what is wrong medically with our leaders. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, we know he had polio. It was polio that made him paralyzed. FDR. We don't know the health condition of almost of our leaders, and we can't afford this in a country where till today, for over 100 days, the president was out of the country. We don't know what was going on. You are talking about President Yar'Adua that died in office. So today we don't know what killed him. Some said pericarditis. Some said Chong-Strauss syndrome. The Nigerian people have a right to know. And if you can't disclose your health, whatever, don't come out. Don't come out. But as long as you run for presidency, we must be able to disclose our health. So I call on it, and I want, public affairs analysts and, social commentators and civil society to take it up. If possible, we should push laws that makes, what is it called? Presidential candidate to declare their health record and show us something before they run for presidency. Nobody has problems with that. Everybody, and please, Bola Ahmed Tinubu has a fair chance to run for president just like anybody, but please, they must declare their health record. And it must not be about the son who can lift a cup of tea or lift a broom.
It has to be the person who has the ability to go, bam, bam, bam. I can't stop, I can't.
The president of Nigeria must be able to carry weight. Which kind of after all, one president told us about weight carrying in... Okay, you know where.
Yes. Because we don't want any other Pobia case again.
So I was just going to say that the president or the APC should report to the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, for bad service from the contractors. I thought that was a national embarrassment in terms of it's not just for the APC. Yes, it was an APC rally, but it had it had presence the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. When you have events like that, it should be only the highest quality of services that are made available. But something else I have to say is that I quite like the fact that our public officials or public servants experience what Nigerians experience on a day-to-day basis, that it becomes normal. I hope that beyond field electricity or power, they would also come into our traffic. Let them feel and understand what the average Nigerian is going through. The president is currently in Lagos State now. The traffic is horrendous, but he gets to fly in a chopper and go around, and so there's a disconnect. Perhaps if they used more services than Nigerians used, then there'd be more, they'd understand our issues better. So that's one. Then the other parts that we didn't talk about was that he visited the Emir of Bauchi, where he said that, as the president, where he gave himself a pass mark for his 7.5 years in leadership. And that has also caused a lot of conversation. People are saying that, he said that this is not the first time he's saying that. But I don't think that you, the one who's writing the examination, is the one that would also score your performance. The real examiners of how well he has done as president
program for a live event.
Sorry, only people will get past. Only people will get past. Excuse me, stop.
Thank you. You know when these things happen.
Okay. What you want to know? You can ask me what happened. Me, I don't know what happened. Okay. I don't know what happened.
Ramadan is here.
Hello? Matthew wà ní other side kejì. Ó wà ní Marina. Marina ló wà ní other side development commission. Kò sí èmi nìkan wà níbàyí. Kò sí. Ó ti wà ní ibi kejì. Ibi kejì ló wà ibi kejì. Marina commission tí ó ìlú yẹn. Okay, museum lele nsi. Museum lele wa. Oh, batch one blue way. The very inaugurated.
Are you seeing that right?
Okay, basically okay. Okay, right, okay. Life now, because I'm back of that, where get you out. Back one.
I think the lawsuit should go into billions and multi-billions of naira. Because you see, if we keep keeping quiet and we don't speak up, madness will continue in Nigeria. If we want to be mad, we can all be mad together. All right? So people should be able to file class action lawsuits, take them to court. You know, because I read NACO's rebuttal that even annoyed me the most.
Which is?
They just said, oh, we've settled everything. We thank for the understanding of our clients. You know, there was no apology in all of that. And I didn't see any apology. I went to their Instagram page this morning and I read it. And that's not how to issue a press conference, press statement. I'm sorry. Yeah. You have to have empathy for the people you disrupted their business. So a class action lawsuit should be filed. People must go to court. They must whip it out. And enough of this level of madness.
Yes.
Flights get cancelled. I was involved in one. I'll never forget Air France. It happened to me. Yeah. But I got pre-advance notice.
Yeah, but you know there's a difference between the union and the national management. It's the union that fails to give the management.
So it be the union, be it. I don't care any.
Give notice to the international
body.
But the union didn't give NACO.
Whatever it might be, when we all go to court, they will be untangling it one by one.
We've got to go. Thank you very much, Ojineka.
Great analysis.
This thing is already played.
Always.
When you hear that, it's time to go.
Absolutely, Dr. Abati. Well, that's all I have for you on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.
And that's all on today's edition of The Morning Show. Rotus Odiri will be here next to take you through Global Business Report. Stay with us. It's still the Arise News Channel.
My people, my name is Emeka. Mekus Kamat. Let me get all this motor. I don't learn my lesson. Somebody come buy motor for my hand, carry big money, come give me. Now when we get bust, now my eye open. I don't know say that 419 be. Now when EFCC babam, now they come bab me too. Now he make me they warn you. All of them when they do business like me, where they carry big money. Well, I go sometimes I go carry transfer, carry bring back. Yeah, make una shine in my eye because the special control unit against money laundering, what they call SCUMO, they don't want to say if the money pass 5 million naira for individual, no collect them. If it pass 10 million naira for company, no collect them. Can I go where? Bank. If you not do them like that, 250,000 naira for every day where this offense happen. Or they go suspend your license, or they go cuckoo, shut them down, mata for your hand. No talk say, I know one you.
This message is from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC.
At last, the elections are here. Let's turn out en masse on election day and vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as President of Nigeria for a renewed hope and a better Nigeria. Vote APC, the party that shows a broom.
Every moment matters. Every decision. Every moment of courage. Every act of kindness. Every declaration of war is made by someone, somewhere. Newsnight analyzes the decisions that affect all of our lives.
A very warm welcome to you. This is Newsnight. Every night, we bring you the moments that matter, from the top to the bottom, and in every corner of our country. We bring you a focused agenda from Nigeria, Africa, and beyond. Focus on what's important with Arise Newsnight.
Hello and welcome to Arise News. You're watching the Global Business Report. I'm Rosa Sodiri, coming to you from Nigeria's commercial capital, Lagos. What's making the headlines across the business world today? Let's find out. Ford plans to trim about 3,200 jobs across Europe in an electric pivot. Microsoft invests $10 billion with a B dollars in ChatGPT maker OpenAI. Google CEO is defending job cuts in a town hall. Employees are demanding clarity. And Nigeria's President Buhari, second day of his trip to Lagos, the deep Seaport inaugurated, along with a rice mill and more. It's a Global Business Report. Do stay tuned. All right, equity markets over in Asia, second day of trading this week, and they're up. Shanghai Composite Index over in mainland China, despite COVID rising. Kospi in Korea, the Hang Seng in Hong Kong, the Nikkei 225 in Japan, all up 63 basis points to as high as 182. Crypto prices, taking a look at Bitcoin, which is up to almost $23,000 now. Ethereum has blown past the $1,500 level. Binance Coin and XRP also up as well. Crypto continues to track equities. Exchange rates, so looking at the US dollar against a basket of currencies, including the euro, which has depreciated against, as well as the pound. And of course, against all four currencies, including the Japanese yen and the Canadian dollar, the US down there as well. Oil prices, Brent crude and West Texas Intermediate North American grade, 88.36, 19 basis points up, 16 basis points in North America, 81.81. All right, the European Central Bank Chief Christine Lagarde says it will do everything necessary. The bank will do everything necessary to return inflation to its goal, pointing to more significant interest rate increases at coming meetings. She added that borrowing costs will have to rise at a steady pace to reach levels that are sufficiently restrictive and stay at that point for as long as needed. The Eurozone Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index, PMI, reaching a 5-month top, coming in at 48.8 points in January, better than 48.5, which is what the market expected. Last month's reading was at 47.8. The Block's Services PMI hit a 6-month high at 50.7 in January. What the expectations were, 50.2. December was 49.8. Automotive news. Ford plans to trim about 3,200 jobs across Europe following workforce reductions in the U.S. as the automaker slashes costs in a shift towards electric vehicles. A majority of the affected positions are concentrated in Germany, Europe's largest economy, and include roles in product development and administrative areas. Newell Brands has yesterday announced that it would cut about 13% of its office positions in order to reduce costs as it deals with elevated inflation and weak consumer demand. The job cuts are part of a plan to simplify the organizational structure, streamline company real estate, centralize supply chains, and reduce overhead costs. Newell, which produces Sharpie makers, has struggled as persistent inflation has caused consumers to pull back spending office supplies and so on. Days after Google announced the largest round of layoffs in the company's 25-year history, executives defended the job cuts and took questions from concerned workforce during a town hall meeting on Monday. CEO Sundar Pichai led the countrywide meeting and told employees that executives will see their bonuses cut. He pleaded with staffers to remain motivated as Google faces heightened competition in areas like artificial intelligence, while also trying to explain why employees who lost their jobs were removed from the internal system without warning. Microsoft is investing $10 billion in OpenAI, whose artificial intelligence tool ChatGPT has been the internet's talk of the town since its release in November. ChatGPT attracted more than 1 million users in a matter of days and sparked a new discussion about the place of AI in the workplace. The additional backing is meant to provide Microsoft access to some of the most well-liked and sophisticated artificial intelligence systems, building on the US $1 billion Microsoft invested in OpenAI back in 2019 and another round in 2021. In the UK, it's all about ethics, as the focus is on how BBC chairman Richard Sharp was appointed to his role following allegations by a newspaper that he was recommended for the job weeks after helping then Prime Minister Boris Johnson secure an £800,000 loan guarantee. The probe is the second investigation launched into potential government impropriety in a single day. For more of these headlines, we'll cross over to London, where we're joined by Arise business analyst Bode Ososimi. Good morning, Bode. Thanks for being with us today. What are we learning from the January PMI data just out in Europe and the UK?
Well, good morning, and thanks for having me on the show. According to director at S&P Global, for Germany, business activity seems to be starting the year on a more stable footing, and the PMIs came in broadly in line with market consensus. And it also lends support to the notion that a recession in Germany is by no means obvious, but even if it happens, it is likely to be mild. We saw a return to growth in services activity after 6 straight months of decline, although the increase was only marginal and achieved on somewhat shaky foundations, especially as we noted that inflows that is related to new business that are coming in remained in decline. So it's a flash report that gives some basis for guarded optimism, I would say, on the economy, but it doesn't move the needle materially on the risk of recession. If you look at the DAX as we speak, it's down 0.14%. FTSE is also down 0.36%. Eurozone manufacturing purchasing managers index, that's the PMI, reached a 5-month top, coming in at 48.8 in January, better than 48.5 expected. Also, we got UK manufacturing PMI indices unexpectedly improving to 46.7. That's PMIs for manufacturing in January, compared to 45.0 expected and 45.3. That's December's previous, that's the final reading in December. But the main thing that you see in the UK, when you compare with the Eurozone, is the UK composite PMI came down in the flash data from 49 in December to 47.8 in January, while the Eurozone composite data improved from 49.3 in December to 50.2 in January. That's composite Eurozone data actually going into expansion territory. So my sense is that the drag of the impact of strikes in the UK obviously may have had an impact on the UK numbers, but the data certainly shows a weakening UK economic situation compared to Europe.
Automotive news, Ford trimming 3,200 jobs. What else are we learning about this development?
Well, investors have been watching Ford closely. It's a very cyclical sector, and anything that happens in the macro space definitely impacts the mood as far as stocks are concerned. And also, it's also capital intensive and investments. You just have to make the right investments, and it also puts a lot of pressure on your margins, where you have to put in a huge investment outlay. And the electric vehicle space is one that they've already said they're spending heavily on, and they obviously need to make some savings, if you like, the cash cow in the internal combustion engine business, which is still spinning enough for money. So they're milking that, and they already know that they will need much less people in the EV space, and that's why they have to just start bringing the numbers down, especially in the development and production of electric vehicles, which is much less labor intensive. And my sense is they may also be moving a lot of action to the US. The US has been trying to attract businesses back, especially in this EV space, with a lot of very generous incentives. So this is a space that everybody's obviously watching. EV is the future, and Ford wants to move quickly, and without investment and finding the investment from somewhere, they're not going to be able to. So I guess this was something that was going to happen.
All right, but we featured ChatGPT in our year-end technology roundup. What do you make of the market's reaction to this $10 billion investment from Microsoft?
Well, I think it clearly shows, one, that Microsoft is still in the business. Remember, the news we got from latest news on Microsoft was talking more about their layoffs, and there was a lot of nervousness. Microsoft will also be announcing the results. I think after close today, many will be watching and listening carefully, especially on the outlook. But definitely ChatGPT is certainly the key thing that is going to drive the revolution in AI. And of course, putting $10 billion of Microsoft's money behind it is a signal that this is one thing that is certainly likely to catch on. But we'll wait and see and hear more from Microsoft when they talk, I guess, more on this later today when they announce their December quarter results.
And the UK, what really are the ethical issues surrounding the BBC chairman, Richard Sharp?
Well, Sunak promised integrity, professionalism, accountability, but it's looking like business as usual. Richard Sharp, that's BBC's chair, is facing 2 investigations over reports that he helped Johnson get a loan. The presumption is that Boris Johnson was influenced in his decision on the BBC chair job by this kind gesture, but that has not been proven. And you have to prove that Richard Sharp was not qualified. And we also don't understand the full nature of this assistance. And of course, any evidence of pressure from Richard Sharp will also have to be shown. But the other case, Nadim Zahawi, now seen as damaged goods as head of Conservative Party, I think, is a more serious issue. He had to pay £5 million as a penalty over a tax dispute on HMRC. This is the tax unit which he was overseeing when he was Chancellor. So obviously, if you have a dispute that leads to a £5 million payment and you're a Chancellor, it's material. So it's very embarrassing. This is just coming up. Nobody heard about it. And of course, Sunak is saying that this happened before he came, but we don't know what Sunak knew. But clearly, I think you will need an independent inquiry to show that nothing was amiss. And perhaps the easiest way to let this go away is for Zahawi to just resign, which I think is what is most likely going to happen.
Interesting development there. Thank you so much, Arise business analyst Bode Oshosumi, taking us through the business headline. But we appreciate your insights as always. You're watching the Global Business Report here on Arise News. President Buhari inaugurating a $1.5 billion Lekki deep sea port. We take a look at that plus more after the break. Do stay tuned.
A reflection of the Nigerian never say die spirit. They never stay down. You're always thinking of how to improve. You're always thinking of how to move forward. My name is Emmanuel Ahimieho. I've been a civil engineer for 18 years. I'm the project manager of Obajana Kaba Road. The Obajana Kaba Road is 43 kilometers built completely of concrete pavement. We started work on December 2016. I remember when we came here, it was virtually lifeless. We're building a road that we know will need very minimal maintenance. It's a road that we don't need to rush back to in 5 years, trying to carry out major maintenance work. We don't need to import anything that we need on the road. They are all locally available.
All right, that is President Buhari. He's live and he is inaugurating the Lagos Mass Rail Transit LRMT Blue Rail line, which is supposed to add, of course, much needed rail infrastructure to the commercial capital of Africa's largest economy. This is his second trip, or rather day 2 of his trip to Lagos. There he is with the executive governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. And yesterday was about the Lekki Deep Sea Port. It was also about a 32 metric ton rice mill. And today it's about rail. There they are right now. And of course, this is part of the executive governor of Lagos State's themes agenda. The T in that themes is transportation. And there's the president right now walking on the with the governor as they make their way through that Blue Line rail project. And again, this is part of the president's 2-day trip to Lagos, where he has been inaugurating a number of key projects. And just a reminder, the Blue Line is a 27-kilometer rail system from Marina to Okokomaiko. First phase is a 13-kilometer stretch from Marina to Mile 2, covering 5 stations to be powered by electricity from an independent power plant. And then that second phase, of course, then go into Okokomaiko. And you can see the bevy of photographers there getting the picture of the president as he walks through. The project, of course, being constructed by the China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation, managed by the Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, LAMATA, and very, very important infrastructure for Lagos State because, well, Lagos State wants to diversify its transportation system. All right, there's the president right now greeting everyone in the room as he walks through that station there with the governor of Lagos State. The president has been very busy in Lagos. He's inaugurated the deep Seaport. We got a report on that. We'll show that to you hopefully soon. He's also inaugurated a rice mill. That was yesterday. And also a new, for MRS, the oil company, also in Apapa, also was also there as well.
The President, Federal Republic of Nigeria.
As a reminder, on December 21st, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, Executive Governor of Lagos State, he commemorated the completion of the civil infrastructure for the first phase of that project at the National Arts Theatre in Igamu in Lagos. So again, there he is. He's the host, chief host for the president. And I think we just saw our very own Tokunbo Yetunji. We're going to be speaking to him hopefully in just a moment. National anthem being played.
The Chinese ambassador to Nigeria, His Excellency Q Jiangsu. Honorable Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Speaker, Lagos State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Dr. Mudashiru Obasa. Honorable members of the Lagos State House of Assembly, members of the State Executive Council, body of permanent secretaries, top government functionaries, and heads of extra-ministerial departments, especially Managing Director, LAMATA, Engineer Mrs. Abimbola Akiato, Service Commanders, Vice